Good morning, good afternoon. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Season Gaming Bitcast, episode 119 this week. And it's going to be a good one. You have the Prince of Persia remake coming at you live here. You've got Dan, and he's coming at you this week in the Ultimate Edition form with ray tracing on. That's true. Yeah, that's some beautiful lighting you have there.
4K.
Thank you.
And joining us for the first time, one of our friends of the show who we've talked to for quite a long time now is GatorSixCharlie. Welcome, sir.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course.
No, I don't have 4K ray tracing behind me, but I try.
That's all right. 1080p will do for today.
That's right. We're not super picky.
720, I think it is, but you know.
You've got native ray tracing at 270p.
I'm old generation back here. My bad, guys.
7 FPS. We're good, man. This is what
we're good. What's my camera doing already, man? What is going on?
It's StreamYards.
It is really weird. We were joking that my camera has issues on this, and then I've been streaming lately. Same exact setup, literally sitting here, same PC, cord camera on YouTube, on Twitch, local videos, and it doesn't do this. So I don't know why it does this on this, but we'll figure that out. That's neither here nor there. All right, so Gator, welcome to the show, man. We've got a lot to talk about today, guys. Big week in gaming, and in fact, as we speak, DC FanDome is going on today. So sadly, we're going to be probably a few hours ahead of the Suicide Squad and Batman news, and we'll talk about that next week. But we've still got this Black Adam.
Yeah,
that's
the big.
They
dropped the Rock teaser trailer last night, and that's.
I didn't see it. Yeah, I didn't catch that this morning. Sweet. So yeah, that's going on as we speak. So if you're tuning into us and you're big into watching that, I appreciate that, of course. We've also got Black Myth Wukong, which took the industry by storm this week. We've got the new Call of Duty, Cold War. We've got PS5 launch lineup and some more delays there. We've got Xbox's new UI, Baldur's Gate 3, Prince of Persia remake, not Porsche. A lot to talk about. So, but first, before we get to all kind of the major topics, and I know, Gator, you're familiar with the show, but first time on the show, we want to chat with you just a little bit about your gaming history. I know that we've talked offline, for quite a while now, and I know you're like us. You fit right in with the Season Gaming shirt. You've got the classic G.I. Joe shirt, so everything's working out. I know you go way back like we do, and you talk about that in some of your videos and channel too. So quickly, why don't you take us through kind of what got you into gaming initially? Some of your favorite things from your youth as you grew up with it.
Well, we got to start off with my great-grandfather who came from Wales. No,
really?
Just kidding.
You got me all excited for a second. You son of a bitch.
I'll start with my earliest memories of gaming were playing Pong on, and this is going to date me, the Telstar, which was the predecessor to the ColecoVision. And then I remember playing on ColecoVision and Atari, Donkey Kong, Zaxxon, those kind of games. And then obviously the Nintendo Entertainment System was the system that I would say that I grew up generational wise. And then obviously I did a lot of PC gaming, playing Doom, Civilization, SimCity, Diablo. And then, we're just going to skip past that and go to the present day. I've been playing games since then. And all throughout my life, no matter what I've been doing professionally, I'm a veteran, so I was in the Army for several years. And I was the guy who in the barracks had every system, so everyone would come to my room in the barracks because I would have a PC game, a gaming PC. I would have, a Nintendo 3D, or I have a TurboGrafx. I had everything, so people would, know me. And I, at one time, believe it or not, in the small confines of the barracks, I was stationed in Hawaii. I actually had a arcade box.
Nice.
And I had one of those rigs where, I had multiple games on one box. You could flip the switch and then go from Miss Pac-Man to Asteroids, that kind of thing. Nice. So I was always been the gaming guy. And then when I got out of the military and, settled down, had a family of kids, I'm the dad who has all the games. I mean, I'm just super spoiled. Growing up poor as a kid, as I got older and had more access to money, I just kind of spoiled the hell out of myself, basically. And that's in a nutshell. That's my gaming history, so to speak.
That is awesome. That is certainly similar to my, outside of the military aspect. My brother's the military guy, but outside of that, the growth from Pong through obviously 8-bit era being the key, and not having much money or having many games back then to now, because of that, feeling proud to kind of own everything. That's fantastic.
Yeah, spoil yourself, man. You only live once.
Yeah, that's what it is. And I know Dan's in the same boat too. So like I said, we share.
Oh, we know Dan's spoiled. We see if you follow Dan on Twitter, you know Dan is very spoiled.
Yeah, Dan buys more games than I think anyone I may actually know. And I talk to a lot of people about games.
You want to buy
no moderation, Dan. No moderation.
No. I have Assassin's Creed Syndicate, played it, finished it, did everything. Didn't have the DLC. I bought the gold edition of it yesterday on the same console because it was cheaper than buying the actual season pass.
So you're going to get Skyrim when it's released for the smart computer on the refrigerator.
It would be pre-ordered.
Yeah, he has that pre-order with the collector's edition, which comes with the magnets or something.
Yes, yeah.
Come on now. You only live once, people.
Hashtag meaty.
The funniest thing is when you tell me, you're like, yeah, I've been playing this, I have 200 hours into this game on Xbox. I just bought it for PlayStation. I'm like,
I've done that.
I can't say anything there. I'm totally guilty. I just started playing Path of Exile on PlayStation after playing it on PC and Xbox. I'm like, oh, let's start a new character on PlayStation. Why not?
Oh my gosh.
Complain about having to pay another $40 to buy Control, again to get all the upgrades and shit.
Yeah.
But, what the hell? I mean, why does it matter? Just
don't worry. They gave you an awesome explanation for that this week.
I actually have it on 2 systems.
I don't even have it on 1. So, you know what? Send me that disc and I'll play it. Oh, no. Nope. Can't do that, can you?
Those guys. Whoa, digital guys. When the apocalypse happens, you won't be playing anything, but I'll have my disc.
And I'm the one all about Game Pass and xCloud too, so it's really conflicting ideas at this point. Anyway, chat. What's going on, guys? Good to see all the regulars. Happy Saturday to you. Gator, before we move on to the topics, and we actually have a listener question that Gaming Dad sent out to us yesterday as well. We'll touch on. What's your favorite platform of all time if you had to pick one?
Oh man, I'm gonna cheat because I'm not gonna pick one. I'll pick like 3. But
I don't know if can we allow that, Dan? Is that allowed?
It's Saturday,
I could sign off, man. I'm just saying you're asking me to pick from these. I will shotgun blast. I will say, the PlayStation 2 was very influential. The Nintendo Entertainment System was my childhood. And the Sega Dreamcast was just one of those systems that I just loved all kinds of the little features and evolutions that it made. Yep. So I think those 3 are the ones that I think of when you ask me that. But if I had to pick one in today's present day, it'd obviously be Xbox, PC, no doubt.
Yeah, it's interesting. We've asked that question of a lot of people now as we've had guests, and we hear Dreamcast a lot.
Loved it. I loved everything about it when it came out. Obviously, it's dated. It wouldn't stand up today, but at the time, that thing was the jam. It was. Oh yeah, it was incredible. Pure fire, man. I loved it.
Yeah, I was there day one with a bunch of games. I love that system. It's just crazy to think, right? Because we know everyone knows what happened with the Dreamcast, and PS2 is basically the system that put its, killed it. But I think we're inviting the right people to the show when the majority say one of their favorite systems is Dreamcast. So we're doing good there. What's your favorite? What's your favorite series of all time, if you had one?
I'm gonna cheat again. Again, you're asking me I hate doing that because it's just it's so hard to pin it down. Yeah. But as a kid, Zelda was my thing. I loved Zelda. I was one of the kids who mailed in a picture to Nintendo Power because I was able to beat the game, the first Zelda, without getting the sword, which is very hard to do because you can only beat the bosses with arrows or the iron arrows. And I was one of those kids who mailed in a shot of me beating the game without actually going to the old man in the cave and getting the sword. So Zelda was that was the game when I was a kid. And then as I got older in my teen years, and then like when I was in the army as a young man, Diablo and pretty much all action RPGs were the kind of game that I loved. And as I've gotten older, I would say probably, it's tough. I kind of like real-time strategy games like Civilization and Europe, Eurolysis, those kind of games. But basically, Zelda at one point Diablo, action RPGs, and then strategy games.
Fantastic.
Nice.
Zelda, or not Zelda, Diablo. You're definitely speaking my language. ARPG hardcore here. You looking forward to Wasteland 3?
I am. I mean, I would say if you said what type of game I have the most time in, it's easily the ARPG genre. I mean, I probably have 2,000 hours in Marvel Heroes. Rest in peace. Love that game.
That was actually a pretty good game.
Yeah, I played it on all platforms, and I mean, literally, there's easily 2,000 hours, probably 3. Diablo,
Wow.
I've played all the Diablos, easily 1,000 hours each, and Path of Exile. I'm a complete nerd with that game. I mean, it's APRG with a spreadsheet type of strategy, but
yeah, it is.
It's my comfort food, so to speak.
That's great. Hell, I may need to hit you up because Elu, who's in the chat. So I was part of the Path of Exile beta when they first launched it. Supported the game on PC, played hundreds of hours there, and then I played it again on Xbox when it released, and then I just started a new playthrough with a couple friends on Xbox again. So I'm on my kind of third run through that game, but that's a fantastic ARPG.
I'm a bit of an apostate. I was a late comer to Path of Exile. I was one of those bastards who were like, Path of Exile's trash, Diablo's king. And you know what? The whole Diablo is coming, the 4's coming to a mobile phone near you, made me give it a second chance, and I've been hooked since. And I'm a fool. I was completely wrong. I'm happy I was wrong. That game is fantastic. It's so deep.
It's incredible. And it's free.
It is, and it's fantastic. It's so deep. I mean, my only bone I could gripe is that it has some stability issues on console, but the consoles are powerful enough to really run it. But outside that, I think it's such a complete game, and it's so content rich.
It's so huge.
It is so niche. When I talk about Path of Exile near my wife just rolls her eyes and she's just like, "Oh God, please shut up! Stop talking about Chaos Orbs and Exalt Orbs." Because I talked to my oldest son about it, and my wife's just like,
I told Dan to try and get into it, but I think it's too much.
No, I looked at the skill tree and I was like, nope.
The passive. That's the passive skill tree.
Right. Yeah.
And then we don't even get into how skills are working.
I had to tell him that. I was like, I told him, I said, those aren't your skills. That's passives. The skills are based in gems, which are in your weapons. And he's like, oh, forget it.
We're giving Dan a headache right now. You can tell he's starting to sweat.
It's like peak. That's as hard as I can go, and that's
Whoa.
Sorry. ARPGs, and it's so much. And I was like, man, this isn't bad because it plays well, right? I was having fun playing it. And then as soon as I opened that skill tree, I was like, there is zero chance I have the capacity to, look through every single one of these things.
I sympathize for you. At my age, at a different generation, I would be the guy coming up with builds, making videos. But now, Father, I just go find one of these super nerds on YouTube who make these sweaty builds, and I just copy them. I don't do any of that theory crafting. I totally rely on the internet to be able to play that game. So I feel you.
It's nice to have that nowadays, though, because old Diablo days, you had to figure everything out by yourself, and
I mean, we grew up in the age where if you did not have a notepad full of your scratchings of and codes,
that's right.
You didn't game. I mean, you had to have that. Every kid in our generation had one of those things where you go through like, okay, how did I do Metal Gear the first one? Where's this from? That kind of thing. And now these kids don't know how lucky they have it.
Yeah, we're definitely going old school. All right, so let's. We did get a listener question, like I said, brought to us by the Gaming Dad, who one of our fans that we talk to regularly on Twitter. So he actually asked us, and it's probably a good time to touch on it before we get into September and all the fall releases start coming. But if we had to talk about Game of the Year to date, and our 5 favorite games, we're going to do 5. I think he said 6. I'm like, why would we do 6? 5 favorite games so far of 2020. What would they be? And I think you two both have the same Game of the Year, so I'll probably be the outlier here. But if you had to talk about kind of your 5 favorite games so far in 2020, despite what we know is coming, right? What do you got so far? Gator, I'll start with you, man.
Well, the theme for this episode for me is cheating. So I'm going to mention Cyberpunk 2077. It hasn't came out yet, but let's be real. Even the biggest news would be not it being delayed, is it not being Game of the Year. I mean, I think, just seeing from it, I would be shocked if it wasn't Game of the Year. But another one that I would cheat was Watch Dogs 3. It's another game that I think that would be in the conversation. And now the other 3 games that I'll mention that I think are in a Game of the Year conversation, obviously Ghost of Tsushima. Obviously, I mean, it's everybody's.
I thought that was your current one, right?
It is. It is my current one. I also throw out Animal Crossing. That's not really my taste, but it would be a miss if I didn't mention Animal Crossing and kind of the cultural storm that is created. And I will actually throw out there, and this is crazy, Fall Guys. I think
it's not crazy.
I think that it should be in the conversation. And those are the 5 that I would go to.
But your personal favorite is Ghost, right?
Ghost of Tsushima, yeah. Easily.
And I think, go ahead.
Yeah, I would say Ghost of Tsushima easily. And I also would say Last of Us 2. I mean, I know that's a very polarizing game in the community. There's people who love it and people who absolutely hate it. But I think it would be ignorant to not mention that's in the conversation. Obviously, I would suspect at least 3 of the games I mentioned to be in that list. But I honestly think Cyberpunk 2077 is going to take it. I cannot fathom that game not just destroying records and just people just going nuts when that game comes out.
Completely agree. I know Dan and I could probably speak for you, Dan. We completely agree with you. Cyberpunk's easily number 1 for both of us. I saw Wilmy said something about the camera. I don't know, man. This camera, I can't figure it out. It doesn't matter what port I use on this app. For whatever reason, it flickers. I'm sorry about that. We'll figure it out.
Because how sweaty your background is. You got too much swag.
So, and I don't think it's crazy to mention Fall Guys because look at the impact it's had. We talked about that a couple weeks ago after launch, but I mean, it's blown up the industry. I mean, you've already got tens of millions of players in a game as small as that people are loving. There's clips of it every day. Top streamers are playing it every day. It's good for them.
Pokemon Go is what it is. It's a cultural phenomenon. Everyone's just going nuts about it.
Yeah, it's interesting. So Dan, I know you. If I remember, I know you have Ghost as your current game of the year as well. Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, but what are your other tops at the moment?
I mean, if we're going with what has come out, I don't know if I played enough to even have 6.
Come on now.
Like new games. So I mean, I would say that, and then Last of Us 2. If I were guessing, I would say probably Doom Eternal is probably on there. I haven't played a whole lot of it. I played some of it. But Final Fantasy VII Remake is up there too for me. Gosh,
big year for PS4, man. Hell of a final year.
No, there were so many other ones that came out, like Ori came out, and
Oh yeah,
Ori's number 1 for me.
Right? Yeah, and for sure. And I understand that. It's Fast and the Furious Crossroads.
Yeah, Fast and the Furious.
Talking about that.
They're actually going to get Vin Diesel on stage again to present it at the end of the year.
Yeah, Predator Hunting Ground.
You're unbelievable. I cannot believe you said that.
Predator Hunting Ground.
Oh God, sorry, that was terrible. But like Minecraft Dungeons was huge. When it came out, grounded. It's still technically in preview, but it still had a pretty big impact. We got so much more coming too, and that's the thing. I think the second half of the year is going to be insane.
Yeah,
Assassin's Creed Valhalla too. We haven't mentioned that yet.
You got Valhalla, Cyberpunk. Well, I'm glad you mentioned Watch Dogs because I think that game is going to.
Yeah, Watch Dogs 3 is going to be.
Be a monster.
I think it's going to be amazing. I think it's doing some stuff that. Not since the what was the system in the Lord of the Rings game, the Nemesis system.
Yeah,
I think Watch Dogs 3 is doing. They're doing something groundbreaking with the way you have your team members in that game. And it's going to kind of be like the Nemesis system in the sense of how it's going to kind of change game development. I think that's just my hot take on that.
Oh, I like it. I don't disagree with you. I think, especially if you read, we have an interview up from the creative director on the site actually from a few weeks ago, and he talks about what the extra development time has allowed them to do with the AI characters, and it's a really impressive thing to read. So I'm super pumped for that game. Easily one of my most anticipated. What do you guys think? On the list here on my notes, I have a Flight Sim too. Flight Sim seems just one of those games that change the scope of what a game can do.
Yeah. I would play it more if it didn't make my CPU melt on my PC. But I think that's the only thing holding it back. It's a beautiful game. I mean, we go back. All of us are in the generation that we go back. We know how hardcore Flight Sim players are. There's guys who have $4,000 setups in their rooms to play that game. If you're lucky enough to be able to play it fully optimized, it's fantastic.
I'm close. So this I built mostly for editing. So I built this year, the CPU. So that the game doesn't even stretch the CPU on mine. It really pushes the GPU up, and that's a 5700 XT. So I mean, you're getting up there.
Yeah.
But it's pretty gorgeous and runs well. I can run it in ultra wide at 60 frames locked without issue.
My computer can barely run it.
And I've seen that. I think that's what it's interesting what they're going to do. And I know Bert talked about this with us a lot is, because Series X, I think they can optimize it fine. And we've actually already heard them talk about optimizing it. But to still try and bring it to old consoles, it's going to be interesting to see what that runs and looks like.
Yeah, it's going to be frame locked. It has to be, man. There's just no way.
100%. Yeah. But yeah, and Doom Eternal I think is on my list too. That's why I put these.
That's a good mention. That's a solid first person entry. I think it's so underrated. It's just one of those games.
Like that we haven't even played. I mean, I haven't played. Like Half-Life Alyx. I heard so much.
I haven't played
about that, but it's probably it's probably an amazing game.
It's definitely one of the highest rated.
Remake that releases. I mean, that's not my game, but I know some people liked it. I guess.
What game?
Resident Evil 3 remake.
Yeah.
But like I said, there's so much coming that I think the second half, as big as the first half was, the second half's going to be even bigger. And as far as Cyberpunk goes, number one anticipated game. But I'm going to tell you something. Ghost of Tsushima, I don't know, man. I mean, for what it was, because you play a game like The Last of Us, which I really liked, but also I didn't really need that kind of super depressing game at that moment, 2020. But and Cyberpunk comes, it's got its work to do, I think, and we've seen all this great stuff. We're gonna be lucky if it comes out right now, boys. I'm just telling you, everything's getting delayed. If it comes and pushes itself back out of 2020, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna be. I mean, we're gonna have plenty to play still, for sure, but at that point, I'm gonna be. Go fuck yourself, CDPR.
Let me just add on what you just said there real quick about Ghost of Tsushima, and what I will say that why this game should be recognized, at least just be nominated, is that the conversation about video games being art has been something that's been kicked around for years. God rest his soul, Roger Ebert was one of those proponents who's like, video games cannot be art. But Ghost of Tsushima is, to me, if I was to have a case like what games are art, that would be Exhibit A. Ghost of Tsushima, how many photos, screenshots have you seen on social media? And then the Kurosawa mode. And then I think the thing that I think it would maybe give it the edge over Cyberpunk, granted, I haven't played it, it's not out yet, is that how complete of a game Ghost of Tsushima is. Narratively and just design-wise. It's a smaller scope game. It's an open world, but as you know, it's not like open world like an Assassin's Creed game. It's not bloated, and I think that's what I think it makes it so appealing. It's such a nice, complete game. It's not bloated. It doesn't got this fat that just been tacked on, and then with this latest add-on. I think it just kind of says more to the design philosophy of that game. And it's very rare to see a studio make such a complete game. And I got to give it props for that.
No, for sure.
I think it's a great point. Yeah, it is. We see a lot of games trying to either do too much or delivering too little at launch. And you're right. It is. They nailed that very, very well. So it's. We've talked about it. For me, I recognize everything about that. It just didn't hit the same peak as others, but I do really enjoy it. I still need to finish it, and can't disagree with anything you said. When we said, Dan, you're actually delayed. This was pre-recorded 3 months ago.
Now the secret's out of the bag. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for chatting anyway.
Spoiling it for people, man.
And just a reminder,
garbage.
Let's get Dan canceled. We've got to keep up with this. We're canceling Dan. So
one of these days, something's going to come up and it's going to be like, yeah, I'm all behind that because, I did something terrible or something. And it's going to be lies because I'm the perfect person. But, I don't want to get canceled or me too.
If you actually type in Twitter #cancel and D, it comes up.
Thanks.
You know what? That's something you can be proud of, Ains, because we all know you're the one driving that hashtag. I've seen you put that hashtag out when it doesn't even have any context. You'll be like,
you gotta keep it alive.
You're talking about the lunch you had today, and you're like, I'll just throw in hashtag cancel Dan for.
It's fair. It's fair. We switch
messages.
It's both meaty and cancel Dan. We're getting
it's probably the number one hashtag in Kansas, probably just because of you. I mean,
trending in Kansas. Cancel Dan.
And also corn.
Yeah. And Mahomes. Corn and Mahomes. That's it. All right, let's get to some of the big topics this week. So we already mentioned DC FanDome's going on right now. We'll know more about Suicide Squad and Batman, which is awesome. I'll obviously be tuning in that later tonight as it goes on, because I think they're doing like a 24-hour straight thing, right? Like it's from today to tomorrow.
Yeah,
that's what I think. Yeah.
Okay.
They released the Snyder Cut trailer just a little bit ago. So
really, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Check that out. But let's talk about this Black Myth Wukong.
Monkey King.
Yeah, man, this game came out of nowhere, right? Game Science Studio, which is a Chinese developer, and that's part of what I want to touch on with this game too. Is there's still tons we don't know about it, of course, but I wanted to also touch on the growth of Chinese game development and what that kind of means for the future of the industry, because this is something people should be paying attention to. And this game, I think, is just kind of one of the first games that's really struck people and said, wow, this is really, really impressive. So did you guys both get to watch the whole 13-minute gameplay trailer?
I did it because I knew it was coming on your guys' show. I obviously watched bits of it before that, and I watched Yang Yi's reaction to it, and it's just wow, like holy crap. Talking about like having a comet come out of nowhere. And I think the thing that I think blew everyone away is the fidelity of this sneak peek. I mean, the fidelity was like Ghost of Tsushima and like Last of Us 2 fidelity, but then you see, to me, it looks like a much more robust combat system than both those games. And think about this. When's the last time, besides God of War, have you seen a game with that fidelity and such a robust combat system? And I think that's really why everyone in their core were just like, oh, because that doesn't happen very often.
Yeah. No, it's very true. In fact, it seemed to combine a lot of what we like about certain games, right? So as you just said, kind of God of War, it definitely looks, to Dan's chagrin, I'm sure, it definitely looks to have Souls elements.
Yes.
In combat and the way things are approached, but then it's got this, highly, what looks to be highly kind of artistic, mythical, kind of look. And I'll throw a couple screenshots up real quick if people haven't seen some of these things. So this is at the tail end of the trailer. He's like riding a cloud. This dragon serpent's coming up. The other thing that really struck me was the breadth of the environments. They showed an awful lot in this trailer of different aspects and combat scenarios. So super, super impressive. And if you didn't see just this morning, because to your point, Gator, one of the first things that came out is like, is this just rendered? Is this, playable? Yeah. What is this? And because they had said this is in game and playable, but you know how this goes, right? We've heard it many times before. So the CEO of Game Science Studio posted a video this morning, which I think it's Daniel Ahmad just shared, of him sitting there playing it, the actual demo live. So definitely playable. They're making the point. So it's really, really impressive to see something have such a strong first impression. And I loved nearly every aspect of what I saw.
Have they said anything about how long this thing has been in the oven? I mean, that's the thing. We don't know how long this has been in development because, I mean, I would assume 2 or 3 years easily, right? But
it has to be. Has to be. But no, I don't think there's any really details about this. IGN talked about it. They had the exclusive, I guess, for the US at least, or North America market to kind of talk about it. So they put the video up too. Yeah. No, I mean, to your point, just given it being playable, having the systems it obviously has in it, from combat, boss fights, environments, the audio details are really impressive. Some of the, like I said, the mythical stuff, he transforms into like I don't know if that's a beetle or something. And then later in the trailer, if you watch, he's up in the clouds, and it's almost like Dynasty Warriors. He's fighting like, like hundreds of people at once, and it turns into this huge scenario. It's just, I was blown away.
If you know anything about the Monkey King lore, my background, believe it or not, I actually have a degree in Chinese history. I don't use it, but it's just one of those things. Yeah, I do, from the University of Hawaii.
This was good timing to have you on.
Yeah, so the Monkey King lore alone is a fantastic IP. It's just not really trickled into the West, but think of like Monkey King is like probably our Paul Bunyan. It's Monkey King is a very big deal in Eastern mythology and culture. And it looks like to me, just from like the trailer, that is definitely honoring and being true to the myths and lore of the Monkey King, which makes a fantastic storytelling. It's kind of like, it's on the scale of like Lord of the Rings, if they actually do justice to the Monkey King myth and all the lore that's involved in it.
Yeah, and in fact, I saw, and sorry, Dan, one more comment real quick. I did see a comment on the video from someone that obviously speaks English, because I could read it, but was Chinese and from China originally, and said it's fantastic to start to see some of our culture and our mythological kind of tales being presented in video games, and that's kind of what I wanted to touch on too, is the Chinese video game market is growing and growing exponentially. And, the North American market, us here in Japan, have kind of been the titans for 30, 40, 50 years now, right? China will be one of them. If they're technically, in terms of revenue, they already are. But in terms of worldwide presence, they're coming. And it's going to be I think we're going to see more and more of this in the coming years. And that just excites me, because it means more games, more developers, and more, as we saw with this video, it means more ideas, right? More things we haven't seen before.
So, well, one of the things that we probably don't realize is that they've been here. They've been in the game for a long time. It's just that we're just not familiar with a lot of the games. I mean, think about we were talking about RPGs or ARPGs earlier. How many big Chinese or Asian RPGs have been released in the last 10 years that we don't play, that have millions of people playing them? Yep. So they've been making games in their market for quite some time. It's just now they're starting to make games that come to our market, and then we're starting to see that. Because I can tell you personally, there's a lot of Korean ARPGs that I wish I could play, but they're coded locked, region locked, and they're obviously not translated to English. So this shouldn't be a surprise to anyone who's been following it. Like, gaming in Asia has been huge, and especially in the Chinese and Korean marketplaces. And now we're about to get it, because now they're like, hey, it's time to start exporting these to the Western part of the world. And it doesn't come as shock to me at all. I mean, I think, as far as I'm concerned, any competition is good for us as gamers, because more competition means it's going to elevate everyone's game and make everyone try harder to compete for our money.
100%. So, Dan, I still have more to say, but I feel like it's Gator and I are just talking.
Sorry, Dan.
So, no, you're fine. Here's the thing. Don't be Souls-like, and it'll be That's literally all I have to say about it. Awesome. Yeah, quick breaking news. Batman Gotham Knights 2021 trailer just released. And it's
nice. So, all right, chat, you heard it. The Batman game was just unveiled while we're talking live, naturally. Yep. So, Dan, go ahead and comment on this. I'll see if I can kind of pull some info real quick.
Yeah, I mean, that's really all I have to say. I mean, it looks super good. I want to play it, and as long as it's not like a Souls game, because I have zero desire to play another game that just frustrates the hell out of me.
I'm with you on that.
I'm getting too old for this shit. Come on.
I have a job. I don't want to play a game that makes me feel like I'm at work. That's just how I see it. I mean, I appreciate the people who love Dark Souls and the challenge, and more power to them. But I'm with you, Dan. At my age, I want to sit back and I want to feel like God, and I want to just destroy shit. So Dark Souls crushes my soul every time I play it. So respect to Ains for streaming it lately. And I'm with you. Like, you can put a hard mode into a game, but like for me, I want normal and easy. That's
I want to enjoy the story through a game, and you can't do that when you're constantly getting killed over and over and over again. It just becomes unfun at a certain point.
So it's funny because I'm rewatching the guys that follow RKG, and they're doing a Sekiro playthrough, and he's less than less than halfway, at least, maybe less than a third through the game. He's already died over 200 times.
Yeah, that's
it's just a challenging game. But anyway, so very cool. Gotham Knights coming 2021. I just looked at the trailer at the tail end to see if there's any other details. No systems listed, no official date listed. So
it almost looks like you get to play as different people as opposed to Batman, because you see a lot of Robin, Nightwing, Batwoman, all that stuff. And there's kind of it looks like Bruce Wayne talking at the beginning of it. I mean, I didn't really watch the whole thing, but yeah, I'm gonna play this as long as it's not Souls-like. So let's just go with that.
Almost kind of hope it is now.
Yeah,
I really doubt it will be. I mean,
no, it won't be. No way. But back to Black Myth, and to your point, in fact, like we already said, from a revenue perspective, an actual just number of gamers playing specific games, the Chinese and Korean markets are already number one in the world. A few of those games are the most played games in the world. We just don't hear about them here, to your point, because they're not translated, they're not brought west. But I think, given the response here, I can almost guarantee we're going to see this game come west, right? And I think it's just a matter of time until the Chinese developers, and obviously being China, there's probably a lot of different financial or legal things that have to be dealt with that I'm unfamiliar with. But I think over time, we're going to see more and more of these games hit our market, especially on this side. And I'm just super pumped about it, man. This game is just one of likely many that are going to show us new things from a different perspective. And that's what it's all about.
Totally agree.
Fantastic. All right. So Batman Gotham Knights 2021. I noticed it didn't say any systems, nothing else. So they're just keeping it. I guess
it'll be the Trinity. Who are we kidding, dude? There's no, unless Microsoft buys Warner Brothers between now and its release. That could happen.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I don't know if, as we get into 2021 and later 2021, how long they're going to continue to put games on PS4 and Xbox One. Right.
I just want to point out there, when we see a release or a trailer for a game and it does not say what systems it's going to be on, that means, this is not conspiracy. That means that they're still figuring it out, and that could be because of acquisitions that we're not privy to, or conversations or secret negotiations happening. So, whenever I see that, to me, it tells me, okay, well, it either means there's someone negotiating, or they're still trying to figure out what system they want to flagship their game on. Just kind of like how Marvel Avengers recently is pretty much it's not a PlayStation exclusive, but as you can see, PlayStation has given them money so that all their PR is PlayStation oriented. So, I think Warner Brothers is in a weird space right now because, as we all know, Microsoft has been in talks to acquire Warner Brothers, and so I definitely, that's one of the stories, the behind the scenes stories that I'm really curious about is Microsoft going to bring out that checkbook and slam it down for Batman.
I don't know. I don't think it could happen.
I'll make a bold prediction. My bold prediction is it will happen. I think Microsoft is going to buy Warner Brothers Gaming, or they're going to form a very long-term exclusive partnership. And I think that's going to be, they're going to weaponize the Batman just like PlayStation has weaponized Spider-Man.
I don't think it would be a bad move. We know how big Spider-Man is. And speaking of which, while we're on Spider-Man, that's one of the games we forgot that's coming out that, depending on how big it is and the experience, right, that could be a contender in a Game of the Year conversation too, because people loved the Spider-Man from 2018. It was definitely up there. So
that was my Game of the Year for 2018.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people. Dan, I don't know if you were in that same boat. I know it was up there.
God of War was on that one, but it was damn close. Because I literally, I'm not even joking, played it this week, finished it again, third time through.
You're crazy.
So stupid.
Crazy. I got all the backpacks. I had enough. That's enough.
Yeah.
You're over
it. What was I going to say? Okay, so new Call of Duty coming, obviously in the fall, goes without saying, right? This is that interesting one because typically this would be Sledgehammer's year and that 3-year cycle they do. We heard last year that Sledgehammer's got pulled out. Treyarch was put in. Which really gives Treyarch a limited time frame of development. And we don't know what that looks like, especially now with Warzone being so popular and them confirming that Warzone's not going away even after the new Call of Duty releases. But what's interesting about that, right, is that Call of Duty Modern Warfare is the best-selling, most successful Call of Duty this generation in several years. in a decade, I think they said.
Back to Modern Warfare 2. It's basically it smashed everything except Modern Warfare 2.
Except for that, right? And so, but that's a very different time period than what we're seeing out of Call of Duty Cold War, which obviously going to take place late 60s, early 70s, depending on how they set it up.
Yeah.
And so no one really knows at this point. We get the full trailer next week, which we'll obviously talk about, but we don't really know what this looks like in terms of campaign. Are they still doing zombies? They released some image yesterday that kind of had two sides to it, which looked like maybe there's two campaigns that are short each. Is it going to have standard multiplayer? Or are they just going to keep Modern Warfare multiplayer and Warzone with campaign and zombies? But regardless, we now know that next Friday, I think it is, or next Thursday, we're going to get the full trailer for Call of Duty Cold War. And then if nothing else, it's always interesting to see what Call of Duty's doing because it is the biggest game pretty much every year.
Yeah, one of them, yeah. I mean, I will say this, seeing the news about how the campaign could be taking from like a protagonist-antagonist perspective, it made me immediately think of The Last of Us 2. And it was like, did Last of Us 2 secretly create a trend where developers now go, hey, you know what's a really good way to do a narrative is to do it from a protagonist-antagonist kind of point of view, have it flip. And is that a trend that we're going to start seeing in gaming? And nothing's been confirmed, obviously, like you said, but to me, it looks like it's pretty obvious. The circumstance as evidence is there that the campaign for this game is going to give you two sides, and you're going to be able to play both sides. So I find that pretty interesting.
Yeah.
It looks awesome.
It does.
Here's the thing with Call of Duty. It's always, fun to play a nice single-player game and have a good, campaign. But, they've gotten so far away from that kind of thing. And, if it doesn't have multiplayer, fantastic. I don't care because I won't ever play it. But, this is basically looks like they're going back towards like the Black Ops stuff, the, Cold War, obviously. Two different campaign perspectives. It's got to be pretty different, like really, really different. I want to see two full campaigns. If this is
different locations, different missions. Yeah.
I mean, they should be able to, they're all supposed to be working together, I guess, in some kind of form or fashion, under Activision. So, I mean, Call of Duty it's one of those games that, I enjoy every once in a while. And once the campaign's done, I'm done with it. Or I'll play like two missions in multiplayer, and I'll be like, yeah, now I remember why I don't play multiplayer games. Because
you suck at it. That's why.
That's exactly it. There's no hiding anything.
Dan, real quick, let me get your thoughts on team games and Fall Guys.
Yeah, they can go suck a fat dick. I mean, that's. Here's the thing. That whole. I haven't played that since.
No, I was kidding. I was kidding.
Played Fall Guys.
You're giving him PTSD, man. Stop.
Yeah. God,
his brain looks like my camera right now.
It's so bad.
I just want to point out what Phasma said about your camera.
I know. I didn't want to interrupt Dan. That's why I was laughing. I wasn't laughing at you, Dan. I was laughing at this comment.
Oh, good.
It's not that bad, is it? We're not trying to scramble,
Oh my God.
I don't know how we got into retro Ains porn, but here we are.
Yikes. Yeah. I'm not here for that.
I don't even want to watch it, so moving on.
Yeah. Yeah, let's just leave that one in the, wherever it lies.
Dirty mind, Phasma. Shame.
That was Channel 99, by the way, and if you slightly... No, never mind. We'll leave it alone.
Skinamax, man.
That's got a monthly premium.
I was poor, man. We didn't have Skinamax.
No, well.
I was on that cable box.
You didn't grow up in the 80s if you didn't switch back and forth between the squiggly channel over and over again just so you can get a glimpse.
Glimpse of a nipple.
Yeah.
That's all it took, buddy. Yeah.
Where have we gone with this?
This is the thing. People have to realize how men go. It's like, it doesn't take much. And then you get to like this point up here where you're like, oh yeah, I got to really have some kind of deep thing. And then like that immediately like drops off when you hit like 30 and you're just like, whatever, Hey, did I just see like a panty line? That's all you need to see at that point. And then you're good. That's how we are, man.
Stop revealing our secrets, Dan.
Yeah.
We talked about this in the men club.
It doesn't take much, ladies. Come on.
Yeah, definitely overthinking it. So let's moving on to PlayStation 5. We heard this week that Deathloop, which is sad to me, is delayed to 2021. This is the game from Arcane, who made Dishonored and Prey, my favorite game of 2017, I think it was.
Beautiful combat systems in those games.
Yeah, fantastic. Amazing traversal and level design. I could get into it. But I love Arcane games. Bethesda Game Studios, not Softworks Studios. This was going to be a PS5 launch title. Actually, the one PS5 launch title I was super excited for. It's now delayed. And I know we talked last week about how thin we think these launch lineups are already. And then we got this delay as well, after Halo's obviously being the biggest delay. But with that, we did hear from, and it's not going to surprise you that this was the senior VP of marketing, that PlayStation has the most, where is the comment here? Let me find it. So he said, here's a quote from Eric Lempel, who's senior VP, like I said, head of global marketing. He was talking about the challenges of still launching this year, though he did confirm that PS5 is still launching this year, because they released that new ad this week. He said it's a massive challenge on every front, not just for parts of the organization that I oversee, but for all parts. The nice thing is we are pulling it together. We will launch this year. That will happen. And from my end, we will absolutely make sure that we bring all the magic and all the excitement of launches that we have had in the past. And he's got a lot more in here. You can find it on our site if you want to. But he basically came out and said this is the most exciting lineup of games in PlayStation history, launch history. Personally, I don't know what the hell he means by that.
Yeah.
Because now, if the funny thing is, if you go back to look at launches for PlayStation and specifically, they're fantastic consoles. We could talk about the history of PlayStation forever. But most of the four have started kind of slow. PlayStation 4 didn't really hit its stride until quite a while after launch. It was similar with PlayStation 3. But still, you look at systems like PS2 crushed it. PS1, Battle Arena, Toshinden, I'll bring up again, of course, because you have to. You've got games like Ridge Racer, which kind of set the industry ablaze. Looking at what PS5 has shown, unless they still have stuff to show that is launching in 2 months, I don't see a whole lot of what they mean here by the best launch lineup in history.
Well, I mean, we haven't seen anything really yet. I mean, we saw basically 2 games.
You got Bugsnax.
One of them, yeah, right. Now we're talking. All right, so listen here. I mean, that's going to, number one, just put everything else to shame. Assuming we don't even know if it's actually launching as a launch title yet, but
no. And Kina, even remember last week we talked about Kina. Everyone talked. The developer even came out and said we haven't confirmed this is a launch title yet.
Right.
I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it'll be ready. It's actually, it looks like a QC game, but when you go into the meat of it, it's so ambitious. So I'd be surprised if it's actually a launch title.
Yeah. Well, they have to have something else up their sleeve. I hope they do, and I hope.
I think the Spider-Man Miles Morales is going to be a launch, and that's because based on it's the engine and the framework is based off the previous Spider-Man game, which is why we had that whole controversy. Is it an extension or DLC, or is it its own pilot game? Well, I mean, it's basically the same template that Ubisoft does with all their games. As we all know, they copy and paste their foundation work and their asset infrastructure, and then they put another IP or another art style on top of it. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's not like that Spider-Man game wasn't fantastic, and then putting Miles Morales in that New York City and with new assets and new missions and stuff. But that's why I feel confident that's going to be a launch title, because I mean, they've probably been baking that since last year. Once the Spider-Man was released, I think that's where they put all their energy to make that happen.
Feels like
yeah, I'm okay with that. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's not a bold prediction. Miles Morales will be a launch title.
And that's the title that, regardless even if it's a slightly smaller game, or like we've talked, like a Lost Legacy style game, it's still going to sell like bonkers, still going to sell systems. So I agree with you that PlayStation launches.
It's the only game right now.
Well, that's the sad thing for me.
I was pointing out, but tagging on what Dan said, outside that, name another one that we're certain on.
That's my problem, right? I'm not interested in Spider-Man. Deathloop was the game I was buying.
Yeah, I follow
the PS5.
You've had a boner for Deathloop, so and I agree. I mean, you're the one turned me onto it. I kind of was sleeping on it, but then you've been talking about it, and I was like, yeah, you know what? Deathloop is legit. I want to play that game. and it's a major disappointment. I kind of thought it was in the oven long enough to see that it's delayed. Makes me go, maybe it wasn't in the oven that long.
I just think it's the nature of the industry this year with the work at home and everything going on. I don't think it's the last delay we see either. I think we're going to continue to see delays for sure.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that people keep forgetting, that like the video game industry is not immune to the pandemic and the way it's like caused, lag in the workflow. A lot of these studios got people working from home, and that obviously is going to affect their bottom line and their deadlines and their objectives of getting things out in time. So I think we kind of forget that. Like the game industry is not immune to all this shit that's going on that we're dealing with. So they're dealing with the same thing. And so the last thing they want to do is put out a product unfinished and not make the major majority of money they plan on it making. So it's safer to delay it than to put it out, undercooked.
Yeah. So yeah, anyway, I mean, he seems confident. Obviously he's a marketing VP. That's his job. So that's good. Yeah. I do hope that, because we've heard the same from Series X or from Xbox to a degree. And I just hope that there's something behind these statements, that there are at least a few games that we haven't seen that are coming this fall. Now, with all that said, and Dan and I have been talking about this a lot, we have Cyberpunk, we have Valhalla, we have Watch Dogs. I told Dan, I said, just between those 3 games, for me, I'm looking at over 500 hours. It's like, I'm not even going to have enough time to play those 3 games, never mind anything else. So it's okay. It doesn't change my purchasing decision. But
if those 3 games doesn't sustain you, then you obviously play video games while you're on the toilet. That's the point. Like that, those games are serious time sinks, man. You're absolutely right. Like if that doesn't sustain you, I don't know what will.
Yeah. Bad Bit, what's up, man? He says, stop what y'all are doing. Gotham Knights looks sick. We actually just touched on that. And don't tell people to stop watching us. That's not cool.
Why put it up there?
Because we're equal opportunity here. Okay. We actually already said for people to go check it out, so I pulled it up real quick. But
it looks like it's not. I don't even think Batman's in it. It looks like a co-op ARPG, maybe. Yeah.
Did you say ARPG?
Maybe.
Oh, is there loot?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
That's the thing. Yeah,
dude, I would love a DC Comics universe ARPG. Holy crap, dude!
we need that, and then we also need Avengers, and it looks like Suicide Squad's the same thing. So, god damn it!
I want a Lord of the Rings ARPG. Just put that out in the universe.
I can't even do this anymore.
Hashtag cancel man.
I'm starting to worry, man. I mean, are single player games starting to just die off? I mean, really, all this crap is just coming out. Everything's got to be multiplayer or co-op or have some kind of loot system.
Your money.
Your game of the year is Ghost of Tsushima. We just said that was the perfect single player game kind of.
Right. Where's all the other ones aside from Cyberpunk?
Well, you got Last of Us.
Well,
you got Doom Eternal.
They just added multiplayer co-op with Ghost of Tsushima.
Well, wait. Every game we just talked about being game of the year. Well, not every game, but most games. Think about it.
Yeah.
We just said Ghost, Last of Us, Ori, Doom, Flight Sim. Those are all single player games. Calm down.
Avengers, a little bit of a break. But if DC's gonna release 2 games that are both ARPGs, they can suck a big fatty. All right. I mean, come on, man. Just give me a nice single player game that's got, like, Arkham Knight. It was a great game. I love that one. Yeah.
Should we move to Anthem 2.0? Would that help?
Yeah. Let's do Anthem. Yep. God damn it.
See, right. You mentioned this. So I just want to get this quip in there. You mentioned Anthem, and like I finally got some hours into the Marvel Avengers beta, and I gotta tell you, man, it feels like Anthem 2.0 to me. It feels.
That's what Dan said. Dan said the same.
I mean, it looks really great. The fidelity is fantastic, and by the way, Marvel is my favorite IP. Well, actually, technically, it's behind G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe is my #1 IP, but. It does. It feels so soulless. It's like Anthem all over for me. I remember I was actually a guy who got to play the alpha Anthem. I actually had to do, the NDA and all that. Yeah. And I knew from day one that game was probably the most produced soulless game ever made. Meaning that it looked beautiful. It had talented artists working on it. But the game at the core, it just had no soul. And you just didn't have that gameplay loop that makes you want to keep playing it. And I felt that last night playing the beta for the first time. I played about 4 hours of it. And there was parts where I liked, but then when he got to the core game, I was like, oh no, they fucked this up, man. I mean, I probably will still buy it. Disclaimer, I'll buy it because I'm a game fan, but man, it's like a missed opportunity. How do you fuck this up? How do you not make such a big tentpole game and you don't give it the soul it needs? And it's so frustrating to see an IP like that just not have a soul. It is Anthem 2.0.
It's kind of what we worried about, right? Because we were wondering what was taking so long. We said ahead of time they're probably trying to do too many things. We were talking about Ghost of Tsushima having a distinct design methodology, right? Here's the game we're creating, here's the total package. And it feels like with Avengers, from what I've heard, I haven't played it, but from what everyone is saying, it feels like, and based on the timeline and Crystal Dynamics and the conversations, it feels like they tried to add things from like 20 different areas and the package just didn't come together.
Nope.
Let me add one more thing. I just want to share this thought to people. Like, I'm playing it, and I don't know, being a Marvel fan, it's so immersion breaking to have, like, I don't know, Captain America throw his shield at an MP, like an enemy that has a shield, and have your shield bounce off their shield. I understand that, like, you kind of have to have difficulty for things, but I'm sorry, but Captain America should be just blasting these, like, NPCs, these mobs. And then you got Hulk, who is basically invincible in this world, and he's getting stunned by like some trash mob. Like, I feel like after I throw the first trash mob, the rest of the guys should be like, dude, I don't even like these guys, I'm out of here. But it's so immersion breaking for me. You can't put a game with Captain America and Hulk and they like seem feeble. And it's just, I get it, you got to have a loot system, you want to monetize the hell out of it because you probably paid a fortune for the IP. But I'm sorry, Hulk should just be able to destroy everything. Make him a real-time event. Make him like a assist guy that can come in. But I'm sorry, but Hulk getting chain stunned just breaks the whole immersion for me. It's like, what the hell? Like, Hulk does not get stunned by some little buffoon. But rant off. I'm done. I won't take any more of your time. I'm sorry. I just had to get that out. Thank you for hearing me.
I'm smiling because I do find it funny because you can always tell the hardcore comic guys, right? Which you obviously are, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's hard, right? Because you know your whole life that you've loved these characters and read about them and all these other things, and then you see them represented in a game you're really excited for, and it doesn't. They have to somehow figure out how to do these game mechanics with this other mythology, and it doesn't come together in the way you want it to, and it's disappointing. So I get it.
Trash. I canceled.
Fastback got right with his last comment there. Yeah, Fastback. The last comment by Fastback OG.
It's almost like Avengers.
It's part of the Disney cash grab. Yeah, I mean, yep. I mean, I would too. If I was them, I would be doing the same thing. So I can't really blame them. Like, you don't want to leave any money on the table, but it's unfortunate. I mean, it is what it is.
So Dan, just for you, I'd like to introduce a new hashtag this week that will maybe help in this conversation about single player games, everything else. So going forward, I've found the solution. It is make it a Souls-like.
Yep. Every Souls-like.
Yeah.
I am going to torture you with
that hashtag. This is our new hashtag. We haven't been able to cancel Dan. We'll keep at it. But from now on, when we're talking about disappointment in games and how they could be better, let's go with hashtag make it a Souls-like.
That's going to make it so much easier to talk shit to Dan now. This
Oh, so bad.
All right. Oh, man. Pompa, what's happening, man? Good to see you. Where we at, guys? Where we at? Next box.
The UI.
Okay. Yeah, let's real quick. I figured we could touch on this because Dan, I know you and I talked about it. So if you haven't seen this, the insiders are testing out the new Xbox Store, which is part of kind of the UI refresh. You are as well?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I used to be an alpha guy, and then I had issues, so I backed out, to the Delta or whatever the hell it's called. But they introduced this week, and basically, they're refreshing everything. A lot of kind of key components here, and obviously being how Game Pass and xCloud and Windows 10 and everything is kind of all inclusive on the Xbox ecosystem now. They're letting people experience the store, but kind of refreshing the whole UI in the same vein. And I tell you, Gator, we'll get your thoughts, and Dan as well. But everything I've heard about this has been extremely positive, which is pretty rare because anytime you see these UI changes, it's like some people like it, some people don't like it. There's a lot of things they would like to see differently. I've only almost exclusively heard positives here. That it's very fast, it's very organized, it looks a lot better. Like they nailed it from what I hear. What do you guys
I'm about to make your face droop. So it was doing fine, and I told you it was really, really fast. I had no problems with it. Yesterday, browsing through the store, it had to be rebooted probably 4 or 5 times. It was almost like every 10 seconds, it just stopped. And then I need to do like a fresh reboot. It might be a bug in the system.
I was going to say that's part of being alpha, though.
Otherwise, it's fantastic. And then they need to kind of move it over to, everything else. That's my biggest gripe with the Xbox. Has always been its UI is garbage. It's terrible. I mean, it's so slow. People make fun of the Switch, and there ain't shit on there. But guess what? You can just go to your game and play it, and then that's it.
That's all you can do.
That's all you need to do. That's what it's there for. PlayStation's kind of the same way. You know what? I organize everything. It's all in 4 folders, and I go. I never had an issue. Now, there's other issues on PlayStation, like downloading games takes 8 years.
So it's funny you bring this up because we've heard that for years.
Can't stand it.
About I got PS4 10 cents when you're ready for me.
Okay, about PS4's UI, but I have a story because I play Xbox in a party almost every day. Elu and I play, who's in the chat, we play a lot of Rocket League, little things like that, right? I can be in a party with a friend in like 3 seconds flat on Xbox.
That's what Xbox at.
X parties launched, done. We went to put a party together for Fall Guys the other day and invite each other to the game on
Dan
PS4.
and I had that problem too.
Same issue.
I was like, this is what I'm talking about. That's the only thing, Dan, that annoys me. I agree with some of the slowness, especially some of the early Xbox One UIs. They've been revising it, and I agree with some of the stuff that happens completely. But there are a lot of things that it does really well nowadays, and we're not even going to talk about the Switch. I'm not wasting time. But like on the PS4, there's other aspects that just they don't work as well. And I always hear the PS4 UI is so good. No, it's not. It's not that good, and it's missing a ton of features too.
Let me tell you real quick why this is. Okay, so the things that PlayStation do right is because they make their hardware first, and then they make software for that hardware. And as you know, Xbox, being Microsoft, they use Windows as the foundation. But here's the good news: with this latest push out, it's very obvious that they are now realizing like we need to make the software more specialized for the Xbox, and they're trying. Because if you think back to like the Xbox 360 and obviously the other Xboxes, they were always taking Windows, the platform, and rehousing for the Xbox. But what we're now seeing with the Xbox One and the Xbox One X, and then obviously the next generation, they're realizing that it makes more sense to make software that's more personalized for the Xbox, so it'll function better. And with that said, I'll give PlayStation this. One of the things I like about PlayStation is that when you are playing a game and you put it in rest mode, like if I got to go to dinner, wife's like, hey, dinner's ready, come downstairs, time to eat, whatever. I put it in rest mode. I go down, eat, come back up. I fire back up. It literally takes right off wherever I left off in the game. It doesn't matter if it's an online game or not.
Sure.
Why does Xbox not have that feature yet? But to your point, yeah, their party chat is absolute. PlayStation. It is like, that's where they get wrong there. And that's what Xbox gets right, which is Xbox strength is multiplayer. If you ask me, their multiplayer connectivity on Xbox is by far the king. And I think that's one of the reasons why I would prefer Xbox's UI and software better than Sony's. Even though Sony does excel in certain things, Microsoft kicks ass in that. But my experience with, like what you said, Dan, is the same experience I have with you. When I first fired up this new on the Alpha and the Insider, it's everything seemed really clean. The aesthetic is clean. And the mobile version of it, that's where it really shines, which I think they're trying to transition to this cloud gaming, so they got to get that mobile component clean. They did it. Aesthetically, it's beautiful. But what Dan said is that they're still working out the kinks of some of the load times. When you get in the store, you can get these really bad hitches. And what happens is, like Dan will testify, is you turn the page and it goes, and then crash.
Yeah.
So they're working that out. But as far as the aesthetic, man, it's real clean. It looks really good.
It's so much better. You know, when to your point, Ains, I mean, I totally understand. Like, I agree with you. The chat function on Xbox, 100% better. You know, here's the thing: I don't ever use it, so if I play by myself mostly, you know, unless you invite me to a party, you know, and the same kind of goes for, you know, my PlayStation. I never use it, so I can care less about those kind of features. You know, what I want is quick access to my games. That's one of the biggest things I'm excited about for this next gen is being able to go, boom, I'm playing, you know, Assassin's Creed. I want to play Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Boom, I'm playing.
You can have 5 games running on Series X. 5 games
at once. That's what I want to see. I want to see that speed. Get me to where I need to be. Don't take away, you know, precious minutes of my life. And you know, I don't need this. You know, I mean, I don't know how long, you know, between all these systems that I've waited in loading games and stuff. You're probably talking days that you
easily, over our lifetime.
Over a lifetime. Oh my God. You know, I can't deal with this shit.
It took us 15 minutes to work out Fall Guys the other night.
God, it was so bad. That was so
no, we were having the same problem. We played with some of the people in chat. We played 4 players the other night, and it was like, all right, how do I get the party? And then let me just hit a button and invite everyone to the game. Nope, can't do that. Yeah, it's like, oh my God, this is driving me crazy. Let me ask this, Dan. If from a UI perspective, would it help if we made it a Souls-like?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Because then I would just throw it in the fucking trash. That's what we have.
All right.
In the bushes, as the Iron
In the bushes. I haven't used that picture in a while. I don't even know.
Yeah, don't hold back, Dan. Tell us how you really feel.
That's for the rant time. I got a
okay. We'll save that for the rant time. So let's talk about Prince of Persia. We don't have to touch too much on this, but I figured we'd mention it, right? Prince of Persia remake has leaked. This was put up by a store. Seems like everything leaks from stores nowadays, which I find hilarious. But here's the listing officially. So this is obviously, and I forget what, Guatemala, I think it was. But, you know, Prince of Persia is one of those Ubisoft IPs that has been gone for a while now. People have been wanting to see this come back. And I think Jason Schreier commented on this afterwards. So I think it's, 99% valid. This is obviously a real thing. So maybe this is one of those games we see at Ubi forward in this next showcase they do. And one of the games coming maybe fall or early spring in that launch window, like we were talking about earlier, that we don't know about yet.
Well, let me just jump in. You know, everyone keeps saying this is a franchise they forgot about. Like, they basically announced earlier this year that they were doing a VR special of Prince of Persia called The Dagger of Time.
Yes.
Now, it hasn't come out yet. So pretending like that this was a IP that they forgot about is disingenuous. That they definitely did not forget about it, and they've obviously been working on this remake for a couple of years. They just wasn't ready to announce it. And I would go to say that they it's just like Splinter Cell. They're working on that too. They just don't got anything to tell us yet, and they're not going to until they're sure on it. So they never forgot about it. It's just that, you know, look at Ubisoft. I mean, they've delayed. They delay so many things, and they got so many things working. And then this pandemic hits, it really slows them down. So it was only a matter of time before we get a Prince of Persia game and a Splinter Cell game. Matter of fact. So I mean, it was coming.
We'll see if Dan wants to comment on Splinter Cell at all.
I don't want to talk about
it. Are you interested in Prince of Persia at all?
It looks like some of the stuff looked VR like. You know what I mean? Like I thought.
Well, there is, to Gator's point, there is a Prince of Persia VR game coming too. But maybe this looks like a remake of Sands of Time or one of those more modern Prince of Persia games.
Yeah, I mean,
The VR thing is a kind of like an amusement park theme thing because there's 3 VR games. I can't remember the third one. There's one that's based off the Assassin's Creed Odyssey universe. Then there's obviously the Prince of Persia one, and there's another one that I can't remember. And I think those are going to kind of be more of they're like what they're called, those rooms that you go in and you got to like 4
escape
people.
Rooms.
Escape room. Thank you. They're escape room experiences, and that's what that is all about. And so it's not quite the same as a standalone game, but those are in the work. And I think they were supposed, all those, that whole experience thing was supposed to, the escape room thing was supposed to come out this spring. Obviously that did not happen. And I think that's because of the pandemic, but
maybe.
Yeah. Well, so we'll see what it looks like. I'm interested. obviously we need to see it. The UB Forward event was supposed to be in August. They haven't announced it, so I'm assuming that got pushed to September as well. But, as we talked about on the last UB event, pretty much everything they showed was what was expected. So I'm hoping they have some kind of new stuff like this to show in the next one. We'll see. Let's talk Baldur's Gate real quick. So we got the news this week about Baldur's Gate 3 early access. They finally gave us the details. Super interested in this one. And while we're talking about it, I'll obviously pull up the details. But I do know off the top of my head that this is they said that the early access is about 25 hours, give or take, worth of story content. It is Act 1 of the game. There's going to be 6 classes that you can play. But they are truly treating this like early access. This is not going to be where it's like a beta or demo of the game and it's already done. They're actually going to be taking feedback from players, making changes. That they said that the game will be different at launch than this early access because they're still modifying things. So, but regardless, this comes out September 30th. The link is up on Steam if you're interested in this now. And, I think for me personally, this is not only one I'm really excited about and anticipating, but it's one that, given the time frame, if I look at release schedule right now with Valhalla and Cyberpunk being November and Watch Dogs being the end of October, I think I'm definitely jumping into this in late September, and we'll have a few weeks without any other games maybe interfering with it. What do you think on Baldur's Gate, Gator? Are you interested in these?
Well, I mean, for people watching, I actually know a lot about this game. If you didn't know, Baldur's Gate 1 came out in 1998. It was made by BioWare. And then, as you know, it was eventually moved to Black Isle Studios and then several other business changes before it went to Wizards of the Coast. And now we see this current incarnation. And I also want to point out this game was initially slated to come out in August. It was delayed, which was good news because that meant like, hey, these guys were paying attention to the way the wind was blowing. They felt like, hey, it wasn't ready, so they delayed it by a month. And that was, to me, told me right there this was a game that I wanted to pay attention to. When I saw that initial delay, I was like, okay, so they're not rushing us out. They want to get a good quality product. And as an IP, Baldur's Gate has a special place for me. It's one of the few games I managed to get my wife to play with me on. And so it's always been special to me because, as you know, it's got kind of an ARPG feel to it. It's not quite an ARPG, but it got that kind of feel in it. And it has a very, very good narrative. And I've always been a fan of the Forgotten Realms part of the D&D world. And so I'm really excited about it because, again, that delay, to me, why I'm stressing delay, when I hear a delay, to me, that tells me they're passionate about their game. Every game company is not a charity. They're about making money. But when they delay a game, it tells me like, okay, they're making the mature decision of like, hey, we don't want to put this thing out undercooked. And to me, that's always a good sign. And the fact they did that, and then the news,
they delayed early access.
And then and then the way they're structuring early access, and then that release and the statement they had with this announcement, like, hey, just so you know, you play this early access, we're going to collect as much data as we can, and we're going to make adjustments before the official launch. So that's actually just super positive. It makes me very excited for this game.
Yep.
Baldur's Gate 3, baby. I'll be playing it.
All over it. Nice.
Yeah. It's going to be awesome. On my Stadia. Just joking.
It's actually funny because if you read their statement, you can find it on our site, the whole thing, but it says, they actually, one of the first questions they answer is, will I enjoy early access? And their literal first statement is, you should not buy Baldur's Gate 3 in early access if you want a polished experience. Early access gives you a chance at an early taste of what the gameplay will be like, but we still have a lot of work ahead of us. While we did our best to remove the most annoying bugs and optimize the game as much as we could, there's still plenty of issues and it will take time to fix them. This is really for people who want to participate in community feedback. So I actually love hearing that. They're very transparent about it. They're very open about it. Be a part of the community and help the game development if you want to, but be prepared for what that means. Don't go into this. So what do you think IGN's review score is going to be?
Yeah, 2.
7 out of 10.
Can be a 2.
IGN is full of fucking cowards. They're all cowards at IGN, and they are. And I'm a guest on the show, so I'll just say whatever the hell I want. IGN is cowards. They're all cowards. So any game that they don't want to take a chance on is a 7 out of 10 because they're a bunch of cowards.
Hilarious.
All right.
Yes, what he said, 7.8. I'm sorry, I misspoke. He's right. It's a 7.8 because that's the most milquetoast, bullshit, safe review you can give any game, and that's what they do.
Milk toast.
Love it. It's fair. That's been a running joke. And while we're yelling about this stuff, we got an announcement from 505 Games this week about Remedy's upgrade, and really they just made it worse. So we're gonna bring this back out. Just stop it. Well, whatever you guys are doing over there at 505 and Remedy, I don't know what you're doing, but stop it. Just stop.
Ridiculous.
You're making it worse. No one's
Streisand effect, man. Maybe someone told him like, "Hey, all coverage is good coverage." No, it's not.
No, it's definitely not. Not in the gaming industry. It's not.
No.
Ask Xbox in 2013.
It's a very cool game, and it has some really good mechanics. And then they got to fuck it up with this bad PR they're doing. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah, you said bad press. I said ask Xbox from 2013. All press is not good press.
No.
Yeah,
terrible, man. I don't even know what they're doing anymore.
Their statement was so loaded with nonsense. I have no idea who approved that to go out. Because I
have an insider take. The original press release just said "We like money," and then they had it reworked to what the version you see now. It was just simply "We like money."
The "We like money" would have saved me some time.
Yeah,
at least it's short and honest.
The biggest thing for me is the blockers. They call whatever.
That's what I mean. Absolute bullshit.
What I want to know, first of all, what system version of the game that is causing this issue where they can't just give you an upgrade. There's got to be a version of it. I don't know if it had something to do with like the exclusivity on the Epic Game Store, or some kind of thing they entered in a contract with them, like, hey, we're going to do this, but we're also
because we're only talking about PS and Xbox.
Right. Well, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I don't know what the blocker is.
There isn't one.
Right. Maybe
we like money.
Man. I don't.
Hookers and cocaine is free, Dan.
This is true. Yeah, that one dude. What's his name? Sam, whatever his name is.
Lake.
Yeah, Sam Lake. Yeah, he does look like super drugged out all the time. He's really, really thin, like a meth head. So, that might be it too. I don't know. I love Remedy. I love their games. I love playing. Control was really, really good. It was one of my favorite games. And I was
gonna say we gave it like a
9.
You reviewed it for us. I gave it a 9, right?
And the game,
it's a phenomenal underrated game that, like, in a weird way, it's overrated and underrated at the same time. But like, it's underrated in the sense that, like, I don't think enough people played it.
Underappreciated.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. You're right. It's underappreciated, and it just is
now
just
even less.
That's the problem, because if they would have come out and said that it's a free upgrade and we're doing X, Y, and Z, I've told you before, Dan, this is a game I want to go back and play. I would have been like, fantastic. This is one I can pick up on my Series X or PS5.
And they wouldn't sell any more units with that. You would sell more units by just doing that. I don't know. It's just these decisions sometimes, like,
nope.
To me, it just speaks of lawyer speak. This was some corporate guy at the desk was like, hey, revenue's down, we can make more money. Let's just put out this big corporate speak message because people are unhappy, and it's just doesn't make any sense. They've been better off by not saying anything. But I'm with Spook here. I think I would have respected them more if they said, hey, look, we just didn't think if they would have said, we didn't think we really made enough money, and so we needed to recoup our costs, I would have respected that more. Because then at least they'd be honest. And I think I'd be like, okay, you know what? I want to support your studio. I'll buy it again. But they didn't. They try to split the baby, so to speak.
Well, and the annoying thing, and not to get too corporate here, right? But my career's in corporate structure. I deal with ROIs and all these things of long-term planning and development. One of the things you can't measure here is the impact on what we would call customer experience, right? So now, when you put those numbers on a sheet together and you say, we can make 5 million more if we do this and put an ultimate edition because more people will buy it, which is exactly what they did. You don't factor financially the reputation hit you've just taken, and people who next time Remedy releases a game, they're going to say, yeah, remember that whole Control debacle? I'm not buying that shit on day one. And that doesn't show up on the spreadsheet. And I think this is just the gaming community has shown over and over again, especially more recently as social media has obviously grown, that they don't put up with this shit. And on the reverse, the companies who actually take care of their customers, like CD Projekt Red, they boom, because people are willing to support them. It just doesn't make any sense.
Corporate guys, as you know, you're in the corporate world, they don't think long term. They only think short term and sometimes midterm. And so they feel like, well, why should I worry about a paycheck 2 years from now? I just want to worry about my paycheck today.
Yeah. What's the 6 month release ROI?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very, very bad mentality. I mean, how many gaming studios have we seen being ruined by the extreme corporatism that comes in? And don't get me wrong, I'm 100% capitalist, but it's just that it's unfortunate to see that kind of trend happen in gaming over and over and over again.
Agreed.
Garbage.
Agreed. Garbage. I need a hashtag trash. I can't believe we don't have that, by the way. So I was going to comment on Martha is Dead real quick before we get to the grinding our gears. I don't know if there's anything you guys want to say about this. If you're not familiar with it, this is a next-gen horror game, horror-esque game, that was originally announced earlier this year. It was said coming to next-gen. There were articles about it being on PS5 and PC and everything. Then out of nowhere, forgive me, earlier we were talking about Black Myth, and I said IGN released the exclusive video. They didn't. That was a mistake. It was Martha is Dead that IGN got the exclusive rights for. But there's a 13-minute gameplay trailer.
I caught that, but I didn't want to correct you.
Why not?
It's your show. I didn't want to. I didn't want to shame you in front of everyone.
I make mistakes all the time. So anyway, IGN ran this. It's now supposedly a Series X and PC exclusive. So something obviously happened behind the scenes here from an Xbox perspective. But it looks really good. The one of the core producers on the game came out yesterday, and just like Black Myth said, this is completely in-game. This is not in engine. This is running real-time in-game, and it looks fantastic. And I just got to say, I'm super excited about it. I love horror games.
It's in Italian.
This one looks, this one looks like another game like Medium that I'm going to be all over.
Well, I mean, it is in Italian. It takes place in 1940s Italy, and
right after World War, on the tail end of World War II. Yeah,
yeah, correct. And I think the thing that caught my eye about it, and I want to disclaimer here: horror games are really not my bag. But I mean, I've played Dead Cells and Resident Evils and those kind of games, and Silent Hill. But it's definitely not a niche that I am a huge fan of. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. I said Dead Cells. You're right. Deep Space. Dead Cells is a platform. Thank you.
Deep Cells.
I said Deep Cells.
Dead Space. Dead Space. We got it.
With Dead Cells. I don't know. Anyways, I felt like the aesthetic and the artistic style of this game is what was really eye-catching with it. It definitely had a really good atmospherical tone to it in that trailer, and I was like, "Oh, I definitely would check it out." Because I mean, if it's a game that's going to be on Game Pass, why not?
That's true. Yeah, that's true. We'll have to see if that comes to fruition. We don't know yet, but yeah, definitely looks cool. Dan, I know you're not really about this. Did you happen to watch any of the footage?
Yeah, I watched it. Not even come close to me. I don't care if it's free.
It wasn't Dark Souls enough for you? Is that what it was?
Happening. Yep. Make it more Souls-like.
Yeah. On it.
Yep. Thanks.
All right.
Hey, quick update here real quick. To your mentioning, Gotham Knights is playable either solo or as two-player online cooperative experience that will be available in 2021 for the PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 4 Pro, Xbox Series X,
all of them,
One X, and the PC. So there you go.
Okay,
it's so they are keeping without Batman.
They are keeping interesting. I wonder what the approach they're taking to two-player co-op then.
Yeah, they just released 7 minutes of gameplay footage.
Good
gameplay footage.
Okay, figures our podcast takes place, as
right
they're doing this.
Time.
Yep. So cool, but hey, we're talking about it. We'll obviously cover it in more depth next week, but that's fine. It's cool that we finally get to hear about the new Batman game. Mm-hmm. All right, guys, it's time. What do you want to rant about?
What you got lined up, Gator?
You got anything? I actually, funny enough, I was trying to think. I had something I wanted to talk about. It wasn't even anything big, but I don't know if I have anything to rant about this week. Anything bothering you?
I have something, but
go for it. Nope, go for it.
I didn't know I was going to get this opportunity. So
remember, there's supposed to be. Let me just preface: we try to keep them at like 60-second rants. So
okay, okay. Thank you. I'm ready. This is my rant. I cannot stand games that do not when you have to name your character, like Path of Exile or World of Warcraft, and your name is taken. That is draconian technology, and it's bullshit. Every game should let you name your character whatever the fuck you want. Period. I don't want to hear the excuses or whatever. Like if I want to be the 189th Legolas, I should be the 189th Legolas. Figure out on the back end how you did differentiate the ID code, but it's time that we as gamers unite and demand to be able to name our characters whatever we want in every game ever made from this day forward, because it's a travesty. And I tell you right now, I have lost countless hours looking up names for characters so I can have a unique ID in a game. And the fact that it's 2020 and I can't do that right now is absolute bullshit. And I'm tired of it.
Get them.
So it's funny because what you're talking about is exactly what Xbox Live did recently, where you can have any username you want. They just put a number tag behind it if it's a duplicate.
And how easy is that? Why is that? Why is Path of Exile grinding your games? Why is that so hard that I have to come up every season with a new name? Oh my God, it's so infuriating. Mm. And I'm one of those people who is a purist. So if I'm playing a game that's in like a medieval setting, I want a medieval name. I'm not going to name my guy like Big Droopy Pants 22. I want to go with like something that's themed and like it's always taken. I want to name my guy Thor or Gimlet or Conan or something, but no, it's taken because some asshat got the Conan 3 years before I did. It's bullshit, and I'm tired of it.
Nice. I like it. Didn't expect that, but I like it.
Yeah, I mean, I always name, I try to name my character Queefy, and either it doesn't let me do it, or even my horse. I can't even name my horse Queefy. Some games let you do it. I've got several horses and characters named that throughout my game. It's just super frustrating. I have a
sense of honor and integrity in my naming convention, and you're the guy that you're the reason we don't have this because you're the guy who wants to have your character named Queefy.
I don't need it to be like Queefy 112 or something, dumb. That whole Xbox thing throws, while I appreciate it, like I've always wanted to have that gamer tag, but like Rapture, that's always been my, it's always been XOX. I get that, but my OCD couldn't handle having a 1 or a 2 or probably a 36 on the end of it every time I looked at it, and I would go nuts. So,
all right.
And 356. Thanks, Saza.
They're coming out with new cancel dams
about Marvel's Avengers, but since I already did, I was like, already.
So it's funny you talked about that because I do the same thing with names. I have to have a name that's somewhat relevant to the game I'm playing, and I'm even weirder because it has to start with an A. I come up with a new A starting name with every character that I.
Then explain Whiskers then, because that doesn't start with an A.
Well, I asked the watchers to name him.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, Cloud came up with Whiskers, and it sounded hilarious, so that's what we went with. Whiskers is immortal, by the way. He hasn't died yet. Little known fact. 0 death run.
I heard that. I've watched, and when I watched you, I did not notice you die over and over again either.
No, I know. It's crazy, right? So it's fun. And what do you got?
All right. So here's, I was kind of off Twitter for a while, at least on my main account. I lured for a while. What grinds my gears, I guess, is I can't stand like nobody likes negativity, right? Nobody wants to, see all the toxic comments and all the negativity. You know what I can't stand more than that? People that are so positive that they got sunshine coming out their ass, like 15, every 15 fucking. It's like, hey, you don't have to like something all the time just because you want to be positive. All right, you can absolutely not like something, and when you don't like something, you can fucking complain about it. You can say, hey, this is garbage, and call somebody out on it. All right, not everything is good. All right, Battletoads, sure, go ahead and like it. That's fine. I don't care. The game sucks. I played through the back.
It doesn't suck.
I can't even tweet that on Twitter because I'm sure people would flip their lids and go crazy. Like, well, that's just your opinion. Yeah, you're right. The face, it is my opinion. All right, let me have it. Not everything is perfect. All right, it drives me crazy. It's like how all these games, like the perfect game. Oh, it's a super fun game. Are you kidding me? You probably play 5 minutes of it. You're never playing it again. It drives me up the damn wall. You can be
it's basically people who are being, not genuine.
Over the top. Yeah, don't be. Yeah, fucking be honest.
Yeah.
All right. Battletoads. If you like it, fine. I don't give a shit. But
it's fun for what it is. But let's be honest, it's not a game of the year contender.
A game of the year. This is crazy.
That's the problem with social media, though, Dan. I mean, social media ranks everyone tribal, and everything is either black or white, and you can't have nuanced talk. Like, we're here in this format here, you can talk, and we can talk about Battletoads and be rational about it and point out its pros, and then point out that this is just a small game. It's not it's life changing. But the problem with Twitter and Reddit and Facebook, you're either all for or you're all against. There's no nuance.
It's funny because I don't know if it was last week or one of my rants was exactly that, Gator, is that everyone falls into sides. Right, you're either all the way over here, you're all the way over here, and there's no middle ground where you can just have a normal, honest conversation about stuff, and it's crazy.
No,
it's crazy.
Just be whatever. I mean, not everything is great. All right. I mean, it's just frustrating to me because, I'm afraid to, tweet something where it's like, yeah, this game is kind of bad, or this isn't the best thing since sliced bread. I'm not sure what the fuck you guys are playing, but maybe I'm playing a different game. It's not just that. I'm not singling out Battletoads necessarily. It's like every game, like every PlayStation exclusive is like the best game ever. Every game that comes out on Game Pass, just because it's on Game Pass, it's an amazing game. That's not true. Even if it's free, it could still suck. And you can call them out for that kind of shit because that's the only way you're really going to get people to make better stuff. And devs have hard work, and they do a great job with everything. And I'm not trying to knock that, but I like your experience with Avengers and mine are very, very similar. We're big Marvel fans. We got on there, and it's just like we were expecting so much just from the IP because it was such a it's huge for us. And then you get on there, and it's like you're right. Like why do they put all this gas everywhere? Like everywhere you go, it's like it's mostly gas that hurts you, as you're walking around, and I'm just like, why, what the hell is this shit? It's driving me crazy. Like that's the only way you can kill the Hulk is, basically put some kind of weird gas and, and it's just that kind of shit bothers me. And I'm okay with saying it sucks, especially when it's a game that, I had pre-ordered, I canceled my pre-order, which actually was fairly simple, which is nice. I wish those two companies would make that even more simple, where I can just go, nope, cancel, hit a button, and you're done.
That's a rant right there.
Yeah, you're kind of going all over the place here, Dan. Where are we going?
It's okay to be negative, right? You don't have to be goddamn positive all the time. Not everything.
Well, let me just piggyback on what you're saying and extend it just for 30 seconds, if you don't mind, Ains. Is that this is my problem with like criticism of video games. Okay, I'm the first person to say, hey, I want video games to be recognized as art. There are lots of artistic qualities, but number one and first foremost, video games are a product. And so they're not free. Even Game Pass is not free. So if you go on Twitter and I'm criticizing the game and you don't like it, tough shit. Because it's a product and I have to put my money, hard-earned money, to buy it. And so I have the right as a consumer to be like, hey, I'm not happy with this. I don't like it. And if you take issue with that, then that's your problem. Like criticism should be welcomed and not basically treat it like it's like, you're a toxic because you criticize something. Because that's the thing. You're talking about everyone being too nice. Well, that's because the word toxic is thrown around on just normal, rational, constructive criticism.
We talked about this.
Oh, yeah.
I agree. The fact that I want Marvel's Avengers to be in a game, an amazing game, that's the real problem here. It's not that I didn't like it. It's that I wanted this game to just destroy. I wanted this game to be like, I wanted to be able to have to like wear a diaper because I want to play this game so much. Like I didn't want to have to leave the room. I wanted this game to consume me. And like when I played it, and now be fair, I have a unrealistic expectation that I wanted this game to make. I knew that going in, but it didn't actually meet my expectations, the basic ones. Like, I expected this game to be a kind of game where I was going to spend $300 on cosmetics on, and I'd have been okay with that if it was executed to the way that I wanted it to be executed. Now it didn't, and it's just like Anthem. Like, I didn't want Anthem to fail. Look at the art in Anthem; it's an incredible world that they built. It looks amazing, and the poor damn artists that like dug their time into Anthem. I feel so bad for those guys because the game sucks. But it looks fantastic, and that's why Avengers is Anthem 2.0, because it looks incredible. It's the prettiest girl on the block, but she's dumb as a box of bricks, and she has no substance. You don't want your parents to meet her because she's so stupid. That's what Anthem is. I mean, Anthem was, and that's what Avengers is.
Oh, that's fucking hilarious.
All right, so
nice.
You asked for it, Ains. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you guys. 10 minutes later. So we have a couple funny comments here. So Fazzer says, "Can I rant about the lengths men will go for a little bit of attention from a woman on Twitter? Believe us, the guys, most of them, and the good ones see this, and we shake our heads just as much. But I am thankful I don't have to deal with it.
Mankind
is ridiculous. Yeah, I don't envy you guys, women, for that. It's terrible.
It's like have some dignity."
It's pathetic. It's really pathetic. Yeah.
If these guys understood, you know, I've had conversations with my wife, and I'm sure you have with your other significant others, is that women hate that. It's like the epitome of no confidence. Like, people don't respect like throwing your dignity down the drain. It's not attractive.
Well,
but
they don't have any. That's the problem, right?
Yeah, true.
They don't see things that way. If they did, they wouldn't do it. Here's a fair question, I think, and I think this is fair to ask. So Shizno, what's up, man? Says, you ever think it's how you criticize, not just because you criticize? So I think there's some context there, right? Like, when someone just comes on, and we've seen it from the damn sides we were just talking about. Last of Us 2 comes out, and you see the Xbox only guys. Game's trash. It's absolute garbage. You know, and you get the same thing on the other side. And yeah, that's not constructive criticism, right? No. It's fair to criticize, but you shouldn't just be out there saying this is absolute piece of shit, you know, and without any context or anything else going on.
And without
very valid point, but I will counter with this, that, you know, you got to understand, with the internet and social media, nuance is very hard to convey in your limitations. And so I think what he said is true, or she, but you should also give people the benefit of the doubt that they're not trying to be irrational assholes about something, because they got a limited amount of characters to put it out, you know. And
what I think the irrational ones you're referring to, we all know who they are because we see it so often. Yeah. So if you're at least frequent enough or know who you're speaking to, you can usually tell if they're just one of those or if they're actually being serious. You know?
Yeah. Exactly.
All right. So mine ties into this whole thing a little bit. The one thing I was going to talk about, it's not really a rant. It was more of a thing. It ties into yours, Dan, a way. And I know you and I were talking to Bert about the same thing recently, but mine is really, I see so many people, and this is more an addendum to yours, Dan, not really at you, but I see so many people who really take things personally when they see things.
My mind. You're reading my mind.
They things personally with what people say on social media. And I just wish that people wouldn't let others who they don't know, don't have any context of, affect their day-to-day so often. Because I see it all the time. And I've even had people ask me, because as you know, we run SG a certain way, we do things a certain way, and I'm generally a pretty positive guy. And don't let that make you think I've had some grandiose, easy life. Okay, I've been through plenty of shit that I won't even want to get into. But the point being, people were like, well, how do you stay positive? There's all these people arguing. Do you have a comment on this? No, I don't. Just fucking, who cares what that person's saying? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. Look at what's going on in our country. Look at what's going on in the world. Look at what people have to deal with on a daily basis. I don't even want to talk about my work, and I never do, but specifically. But, you know, I was privy to something the other day from a charity aspect, which is a charity that helps people with real life problems, financial because of real life problems they're going through. And you can read through these things that these families are going through, and it's like, Jesus, man, like what they're going through is serious stuff that I don't wish on anybody. This asshat over here who's 18 years old talking about the game you like having bad graphics, who gives a shit?
I know, it's so petty.
Who gives a shit?
It's so petty.
And it's just, it doesn't matter. None of that matters. Be positive. Don't have to always be rainbows and sunshine, to Dan's point. Be honest, right? Be genuine and focus on what matters to you. All this noise over here, it's just that. It's noise. Block it out. It doesn't matter. Shouldn't impact your day. And if you're getting depressed because of what you read on social media, that's an internal problem.
Yep.
You've got to figure that out, because that shouldn't be happening.
Let me just quickly add, one of the things you should always remember is that not everyone on social media is at the same maturity point in their life. I'm not going to go simple and say, hey, there's a lot of kids on social media, but there is. And there's a lot of different maturity levels. So you got to remember, sometimes you might be reading something and you're thinking this is an adult, or this is a very mature person, or they're a mature person, and they're not. And so, think about it. If you're in a room and you got a kid who's 9 years old yell something about The Last of Us 2, you're going to dismiss it. And, stop giving it the weight that you think is some 50-year-old adult said, because half the time you just got a bunch of immature people on social media. Sure. And not everyone's in a mature place in their life. And so you're going to get everything. You're going to get people trying to be edgy and people trying to score points for being edgy.
Yeah. Yep. Don't let it bother you. Move on.
All right. Good rant. You read my mind, though. I literally was thinking, people think things too personal. Yeah. And then you started on that point. I was like, wow, you're in my head, man.
All right, cool. So what are we currently playing? I know this week we had Battletoads.
Well, Dan's playing Dark Souls.
Battletoads released and Flight Sim released, which, Dan, I know you even went and bought a flight stick for.
Correction. So, I bought a flight stick for Squadrons. Happy coincidence, Flight Sim's coming out.
There you go. Fair enough. There we go. Fair enough.
Yeah.
He was just saying, I'm not that nerdy, Ains, is what he was trying to say.
Easy.
The game is it's a marvel of achievement, and I know it was one of the developers I retweeted the other day who had a huge long thread about how important of a game it is, whether or not you enjoy it as a game or not. The achievement that it's accomplished should be recognized. Regardless, what are you up to, Gator? What have you been playing?
Well, I have not finished Ghost of Tsushima yet.
Me neither.
It's because the real reason is because it's so good. When I play a game that I really, really like, I savor it. And so it's kind of like, when you're sitting down eating a really good steak or whatever your favorite dish is, you just sit there and savor it. You don't want to rush through it.
Completely agree.
I just finished Act 2 a few days ago, and not going to say anything about it. It's just that I'm enjoying it so much that I am actually pacing it out, especially because the games that I want to play, like Watch Dogs 3 and Cyberpunk, are still around the corner. And I want to try to extend this meaty steak as long as I can. In addition to that, I've been dabbling with pretty much every new game that comes out on Game Pass. Spiritfarer is I think. So
I just downloaded that because people are raving about it.
Let me just go to you. What is your initial thoughts about it? Have you played it yet?
No, I haven't. I some of the guys I actually trust their opinions online were talking about how it surprised them so far. It's not what they expected, but it's really, really good.
Same. I've only got into an hour of it, and it really did not. I had no idea what kind of game I was about to play, and it really surprised me.
Excellent. So yeah, I just downloaded it, so I'm gonna have to check that out real soon.
Yeah, if you got Game Pass and you're watching this, check that game out. It's a small download, and it's just a beautiful looking game. And I'm not saying that you're gonna lose yourself in it because it's not that type of game, but it definitely should be experienced if you're a hobbyist. And obviously, I played Battletoads. To me, Battletoads scratched the nostalgic of what Battletoads was for me when I was playing it on Nintendo Entertainment System. I remember it being the game. It was the Dark Souls before Dark Souls. You did not know. If you did not know, the original Battletoads was probably considered one of the hardest games that you could play. So difficult. And if you were a kid in the neighborhood who could beat Battletoads, you were God. And so this obviously is not that. It's not that hard. It's got some difficult stuff to it, but it's probably hard for me because of my age. But I know my children who are 12 and 14 thinks it's really cool. And the other thing I'm playing Path of Exile, which is my comfort food right now. I'm with Dan. I go back and replay games that are special to me, just because the place where I'm in my life, married with kids, work. I want to sit down and play a game that I'm familiar with, I'm good at, and that I enjoy. And I go back and revisit classics. I would say every 6 or 8 months, I make a new character in Skyrim kind of guy, which I haven't done in a while. But that's the kind of mentality I have. I will go back to a game that I adore and go back through it. Borderlands 2, for example, is one of those games that I'll just fire it up and play a new game. And so Path of Exile has been that itch for me, and that's what I'm playing right now.
Nice. Yeah, good. Funny enough, Elu, who's in the chat, we're friends. He's a mod here. That's how we met, was Borderlands 2. Just one of those games. I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours in. Classic.
Very good game.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'm excited about Spiritfarer, though. I'm seeing a lot of good things about it. Funny enough, if you don't remember that game, they showed it during the Xbox E3 presentation last year.
They did. And it did. You know what's funny?
It landed flat.
And it didn't make an impression on me.
No.
I remember that now. But then now that I've played it, it's one of those games that kind of makes me think of it makes me think of Gris in a sense that it has a very artistic vision, and it keeps with that, and it's got that theme, and it's kind of deep. It's a kind of a heavy game with its themes because it's called Spiritfarer. This is not a spoiler, so you take the name of the game literally. You should understand what it's about. It's about taking spirits and ferrying them to the afterlife. And so it looks like a very cutesy game, and it is fun and it's simple, but it's got a heavy theme in it, and it got some emotional connection to it. I think from an artistic standpoint, it will resonate with a lot of people, and we will get a lot of chat and conversations about it on the internet.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, I'm excited to check it out. I also saw that new Super Lucky's Tale. Again, super lighthearted platformer. I played the first one quite a bit. It's actually better than you would think, and I've heard this one's even better, so I am interested in that. But it's a cutesy platformer. So, Dan, what have you been up to, man? You said the other day playing Flight Sim that you flew by my house and then landed in Arrowhead Stadium.
Yep, I've done that several times. Not airport's right by your house.
Living the dream.
Yeah, so I live like 5 minutes from an executive airport. So there's private planes and stuff there. And sure enough, when I played it, that's where I started. I was like, check this out, man. It's literally right down the street. And I flew over. I tried to find my house, but I crashed. Anyway, how are you doing?
I mean, I played some of that, but it's one of those games where, first of all, it's on the PC. I've got a pretty decent gaming laptop for what it is. And it ran it at high settings, basically, but 1080. Wasn't 4K or anything like that. And it looks really, really good. Controls pretty fun. That was my biggest issue, was kind of mapping controls to the flight stick, and then also actually just getting it to download. I said it on Twitter this week, but PC gaming is not for the ill-tempered, impatient 45-year-old guy, because I just can't do it. I don't have time to look at drivers and try to figure out what's wrong. I almost literally threw my mouse at a wall, because I couldn't figure out why it just stopped working. I said, it's the battery. No, not that. Something completely different. I have no idea what it is still. It's super infuriating. But once you actually get it to work, it's actually kind of fun. Trying to learn all the, like going through the tutorials, I actually stopped doing the tutorials because I couldn't figure out what to do. And there's no like I can use.
No, there's a lot to it, like way more than I was anticipating.
It's either you're using the joystick. I can't figure out how to have like two separate control inputs where I can go, okay, well, I got to put the flaps up, so I got to shift W or whatever it is. You have to actually map that. You've got basically 10 buttons or 12 buttons or whatever it is to map it to.
That's a real simulation.
Yeah. And I'm just like, hey, what if I have to, eject or something? There's no button. So, and you have to put stuff on for the my trigger is basically my camera, switching from outside to inside, and it was fun for 15, 20 minutes, and that was about all I got out of it.
Okay.
But I'm not, technically and objectively, it's probably the best flight sim ever made, and it's gorgeous, and it's, I just can't see myself playing it a lot ever again, actually, because
it's such a niche. It really is.
It's super, super niche.
It's like those people who are. It's a technological marvel that should be celebrated. The people who enjoy it will play it endlessly, but the majority of people, I'm probably the same. I'll put a few hours into it, but it's not going to be something I'm turning on every day.
No. Then I played Battletoads, basically just to get my ship library and Sea of Thieves. Got through.
You played through the whole game, or just kind of the first?
No, just Act 1. You got to get through Act 1, and then that's it. I played it when I was, back in the day, but and it's just the humor is like hit or miss for me. Like some of it, but it's so all over the place. It's just like, hey, that's pretty funny. Then it was like, that was a really stupid joke. It doesn't even land very well, and the art style is kind of cool. I do like that, but it's just one of those games that I just will never play again.
Yeah,
you gotta remember, some games are still made for kids. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think we tend to forget that games are aimed for different audiences. And I think we're too old for Battletoads. Let's be real.
The lack of online co-op in that game,
huge miss.
A ridiculous miss.
Huge.
That could have been a great, 3 or 4 hour, fun with your friends, kind of one-time deal.
It should have been like Ninja Turtles. Like
Streets of Rage 4 just came out and had. I finished that with Cog. We played it every day until we beat it. I would be doing the same in Battletoads.
Huge.
A missed opportunity. You're absolutely right. Not making any sense.
Short of that, it's just been like we've talked about Gator. I go back and play these single-player games. Right now, I'm doing Assassin's Creed Syndicate, which I just bought the second time on the same console. So try to do that, people.
You've moved on from buying from multiple consoles. Now you're going to rebuy games on the same.
I just buy different versions.
Weird flex, but okay.
Yeah. It was $14.99. I couldn't. It was we thought it was cheaper to buy the gold edition of the game than it was just to buy the DLC for it.
Yeah,
insane to me.
That's happened with Witcher at times too.
Yeah, right.
With the ultimate, the complete edition. Yeah.
For me, Borderlands 2 is the game that I own on like 5 different systems.
Yeah,
PC, Xbox, PlayStation, Steam.
And then I played through Spider-Man again. Just no side quests or any kind of collectibles or anything. I've already got the plat, so I went through it, and just for the story. And actually, my kids, that's the only game both of my twins, my 13-year-olds, have single-player game that they've actually played and finished all the way through.
Nice.
So they're usually Rainbow Six Siege, Modern Warfare or whatever, Zone and stuff like that. So it was cool to have them go through it. And one of them saw me playing it. He's like, "Hey, can you get that on our PlayStation?" I said, "Yeah, no problem." And we got it on there and playing through it again. So then
nice.
When's the new one come out? I said, "Well, it's only PS5, and I'm not buying 2 of those." So he's like, "Oh," so disappointed. So I was like, "Well, you can play on mine, or maybe I'll buy 2 PS5s. I have no idea what's going to happen."
We're not going to get into it right now, but there's an example of what we're talking about with cross-gen support, right?
Yep, 100%, man. Yep.
No reason you couldn't be playing it on PS5 in higher fidelity, ray tracing, all that, and he could just still play it on PS4.
Right. But also a reason to buy a PS5.
Exactly right. Yeah. Yeah. There's reasons for both
ways.
Yep.
And and so now I'm just looking for my next replay of whatever single player game that I have downloaded somewhere. So
nice.
That's what's going to happen.
We have Mr. $5 Footlong. I'm not going to sing the song at the moment. Mariano's back. Congrats, Ains, on getting a crown. That's right. Got my first crown in Fall Guys. Dan, where's your crown at? Did you get one?
No, it's I have to go to the store. Yeah, I can go grab.
It's with mine. It's apparently mine in like a desert, buried deep in the desert somewhere.
They ET'd it.
Yeah, there's no way. There's no way I'm ever getting a crown in that game. It's not going to happen. Ever.
So we had a group the other night. So it's me, Phasma, Elu. Well, he actually had more than 4. We had 2 games running, so we had like 6 of us. And I got 1. Mariano got 2. Hassan got 1. Like we were doing good. We had quite a few crowns running.
You guys are sweaty.
Yeah,
it's nerve wracking. I was close a couple of other times. Like we were close to getting a few more. It was fun.
Let me just say, Phasma's right. That picture, Mariano, he's a good looking dude. He's very, very suave. You put that. Look at that. Look at that hat.
Dude, you didn't see the picture he posted with the Subway footlong in the season gaming shirt?
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. Guy is a smooth operator.
We only have good looking people around SG, man. That's what we do. It's on the application.
Nice.
Yep. I know how the hell.
Oh my god! You know, one thing I forgot about Phasma just said is Outer Worlds DLC. Totally forgot that's coming in like 2 weeks.
You read my mind again. I was thinking, are you going to address that question? Has anyone? Have you guys played Outer Worlds from start to finish?
Oh god, yeah, that was my game of the year last year. Love that game.
Nice.
Super good.
Yeah, my oldest son loves that game. He's 16 and he's played it through 4 times. And
wow,
I haven't finished it because I've sat and watched him play it, so I feel like I've played it. If that makes sense.
It's so dynamic.
It's a great game. I love Obsidian. I love their work. And then Grounded. I mean, it's just they're versatile.
Yeah, they're crazy as a studio. But anyway, I'm excited about that. And I also forgot here in less than 2 weeks is Tony Hawk, which the demo's getting people raving about it. I just can't wait, man. I'm so pumped for that. My camera's doing that thing again. But I'm so pumped for that. So early September will be nice. And then we've got, obviously, Baldur's Gate 3, like we said at the end. In terms of currently playing for me, I played Battletoads. I did stream. I got a review key for Mortal Shell, which is that, Souls-like that came out earlier this week. Tough game, very interesting though. We'll move back to this. But I really enjoyed it. I streamed for like 5 hours straight, really had a good time with it. I need to go back and continue playing it. But I've now moved back to streaming Dark Souls 3 and continuing the journey I started there with our Whiskers character.
Deathless too, by the way. That's amazing that you haven't died yet.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. No death
about you not dying is that I don't have to pay any money to your charity because you have 0 deaths. So,
oh crap! What was the bet? I totally forgot about that.
I told you 10 cents a death or whatever the thing is, and if it goes past
right. Okay, so Dan, check in with Elo or Phasma on my death count.
He's got 3,257 deaths. That's
publicly it's 0, but we'll talk offline. We'll take that offline.
So Dan's going to get $1 million bill, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's going to have to take a mortgage.
He actually did. He said 10 cents a death, and I said okay, and I said I'll match it to actually. We're doing it to Extra Life, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I said I'll match it. So okay, cool. I'm going to jump off a few ledges next time I play. But no, that's actually been a blast, and I wanted to shout out to some of those in the chat who know what I'm talking about. But it's been really cool. I started on YouTube, and then I realized, well, I'm going to be streaming a lot from Series X and PS5, which I think PlayStation supports YouTube streaming, Xbox doesn't, and it's kind of messy. So moved back over to Twitch. And on a race to affiliate there, you have to have 50 followers. I think I'm at 39 or 40 or something. So if you're interested in watching Dark Souls, coming and hanging out, like watching Bitcast, definitely stop by. I am going to continue that stream tonight. So going to go back to Dark Souls. I think it's episode 7 I'm on now. Later tonight, we'll be back with Whiskers. Definitely not dying. Hashtag talk offline. What else we got going on? Spirit Fair, definitely check out as well. I think that's it, though. I think those are all the major games that we've been talking about. I'm really interested to turn on Spirit Fair now after talking to you as well, Gator, because like I said, had a couple other guys talk about it this morning who kind of surprised me, like, hey, this is actually really, really good. So great news for that dev. All right. What do you think, guys? Anything else?
Nope.
Close on out. I did want to shout out, so along with the Twitch thing, you can follow me on Porsche Power, by the way, same as Twitter, same as Xbox, PlayStation, everywhere. Our Season Gaming YouTube channel that you're watching right now is like 80 subs, less than 100 subs away from 5,000. So super excited about that. It's been a journey, something that we keep working at and excited about. So almost there at that, which will be nice and exciting. Maybe we'll have to do kind of a big giveaway when we hit 5,000 subs. That'll be fun. All right, let's close out. Gator, why don't you tell us where, or tell viewers, listeners, etc., where we can find you, man?
Well, as far as conversation goes, I live on Twitter, as you guys know. I'm always talking shit with you too. So I'm basically at GatorSixCharlie on Twitter. I'm also, my YouTube channel is GatorSixCharlie. I do make videos occasionally. I do a weekly video where I kind of just talk about whatever I want to talk about. It's a pure vanity project. And some of the videos I just randomly do because I feel like it. It's just I have no ambitions to be the next big YouTuber. I just make videos that I want to make. I also have a website where I occasionally blog at GatorSixCharlie.com. And if you haven't talked to me before, I love making new friends. I love playing games with anybody, and at any time when I have free time, we're talking about a game on social media and you want to jump in until later that night, just hit me up. Well, we can do that. Don't be shy. If it's about gaming, I can talk and argue and debate and love and passionize about games all day, 365, as you guys know. Because we've been Twitter friends for what, like almost 3 years now. So I mean,
yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. I mean, by the way, kudos to you guys. I remember when you first started you're really getting in and being consistent with your channel and watching you guys grow. You deserve it because your website's fantastic. You do have integrity, which is pretty rare if you ask me. I mean, that's why I slammed on IGN. I feel like you guys deserve the attention that these big guys get because you guys aren't sellouts and you have integrity. You're willing to be honest about a game. And, when you are critical, you're fair and objective. And that's all you really want about someone covering games. So kudos to you guys. I've been a huge fan of your guys' work. And I'm honored that you guys had me on your show. So thank you so much. I really enjoyed this. And I hope I'll be back sometime.
Hold on. Keep talking. Keep talking.
I'll start over, but you need to do that as I start, okay?
Start over, please. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I
start seeing this thing go like this.
I think you shook it way too much there.
Yeah. I wouldn't even hit the table. What are we talking about?
The table didn't move, guys. It never moved. I just thank you. I'm not good at taking compliments. I talk about that even in my career. People give compliments. I'm like, I don't really know what to say. So thank you. I appreciate that. It is funny though, looking back, believe it or not, later this year is going to be 5 years since I officially founded SG, and crazy that what's happened in those 5 years. I never imagined that I'd meet so many people and talk to developers and get inside information about upcoming consoles and go to E3 and all this stuff. It's been a wild ride, and I love it. But I had people, to your point, I just want to say this, about a year and a half in, when got a tiny bit of growth, right, and a little bit of attention on articles and stuff. And I had some people reach out to me and say, it'll be interesting if you continue to grow this, if you continue to keep it free, non-monetized. Right? If you keep the same perspective when you could be making some real money from it. And, proud to say we have. I've never changed that methodology. It's still, there's no ads on Season Gaming. There never will be. I've said that from the start. And it's cool to see it continue to get support like you guys and in chat and everything. So really, really appreciate that.
Yeah, baby.
Well, I hope that you don't turn down a sponsorship if one ever falls in your lap, because here's the thing. I respect
tons of them. I get them every day.
But if you have a sponsorship that makes sense, that doesn't compromise your guys' integrity, you should take it. That's my free advice that you didn't ask for, because you know what, you guys do need to grow, and you do need to put food on the table. And I don't know where your economics are, but there's nothing wrong with getting paid for doing a good job. You can do it with integrity. I mean, I'm not saying, don't be shilling for some shitty mobile game that like basically gives people gambling addictions. But if Razer wants to throw you some hardware for you to put their logo or give them a 10-second shout out, by all means do it. No one's going to think less of you. I'm going to speak for everyone watching right now. It's okay you do that. All right, you guys deserve it. I've been following you guys long enough, and it's okay to get your bread buttered a little bit. You can have integrity. You don't have to go full IGN and bend over and take it up the butt by Sony. You can actually be integrity and have some reliable sponsorships that make sense for your brand, because you're building the brand, and I want to see you guys around for another 10 years. And you know what? You should think about that. I don't think there's nothing wrong with doing that.
We're gonna have to revisit the giant rubber fist
Because if Mountain Dew called me tomorrow and said, "Hey, we want Baja Blast to sponsor you," dude, I'm telling you, I'm selling out. I'm full on Baja Blast. Just telling you that right now.
So we haven't had anything to that level, but I do. I get it's as the site's grown, I get emails to the business accounts every single day asking, "Hey, can we advertise on your site? Hey, we want to talk about product endorsement." And
well, you're the right kind of guy, though.
I have a
Let me just
template.
say this. I know you say you don't take compliments, but let me just give you another compliment. If anyone wants to take sponsorships and not be a douche about it, you'd be that guy. So it's like I encourage you this because I know you're not going to compromise your integrity for it. So that's okay because you're not that guy. If you were someone different, I'd be like, yeah, man, that guy will sell his soul to the devil to be able to like make a buck. But you're not, and you guys, the thing is, you guys get better with age. I remember when you first started out, it was a little rough around the edges, yes. But you guys are getting more polished. You kept Dan around, so that means you're a charity worker. So, I mean, you clearly are compassionate to folks less fortunate than you because, Dan's still on the show. So, it's great. It's good stuff, man.
I don't know how I do.
We love you, Dan. I'm just giving you shit.
Pretty much, unless Subway comes out.
Oh, they're talking about it in chat right now. We need Subway to sponsor us. There you go. Although, I don't know. Do I want to be associated with Subway? No. I don't
know. Do you want to be the next Jared? Think about that. I would say no on the Subway.
Yeah.
Taco Bell. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, Baja Blast. That's what
God.
Oh, shit.
But no, I really appreciate that. And yes, you will definitely be back. I've said it many times, but we had so many people when we went live, and Dan and I were talking about there's just two of us. We'd like to have guests kind of every week, but we also prefer, and I've said this many times, but we prefer a smaller show like this, 3-4 people tops. It's just what we prefer. But it's taken us a long time. There's so many people we want to have the show, and it's only once a week, right? So it takes a long time to go through. But
you're too damn likable. You shouldn't be so likable. That's the problem, man.
No, that's what it is.
I don't think that's what it is.
You do not take. You really do that. You can't take compliments. You really. I'm watching you. You're literally getting crit. You're like basically, it's hurting you to take a compliment. Take one, brother. You're doing a great job, man. Your site is on fire, and I'm telling you, the next year is going to be. It's going to probably just supernova for you because you guys are right. I don't know if you followed the story with Hummy VR. It's one of the YouTube channels that I've talked about. They basically do comedy, improvising, and doing VR gaming. But here's the point I want to make. I started following those guys when they had 180 subs on YouTube. Okay. They now have 178,000 subs.
Wow.
And that happened in 1 year.
That's crazy.
The point I want to make is that, I'm not an ambitious guy, so I'm not trying to be one of those. But I tend to follow a lot of these kind of things. And SG Gaming, Season Gaming you guys are on a cusp. I'm telling you, bold prediction. You guys are about to go way up. And I'm telling you, the next year, you're going to have a lot more support because you guys have a solid product. You guys have integrity and you're real. And you know what? It's going to be nothing but success for you. So you should be ready for it, man. I know you don't take compliments well, but you better be ready because you're going to get more of a following. It's coming. And I know you might be in denial about it because you're a humble guy. I can tell you're very humble, but it's coming, brother. And you better be ready for it.
I'm always ready.
He doesn't understand. It's like, oh God.
No, I do appreciate it. I say all the time. I actually tell a bunch of these guys stop by my streams, and it's like I feel weird. Almost like every hour, you can ask them. Almost every hour, I'm like, hey, thank you guys for coming by. I just feel like. We won't get into it. It's weird to me.
I've noticed the growth, and it's getting bigger, and it
is nice. No, the site, the channel is kind of we're a little different, right? Because we're more of a site first. Channel's an add-on, if you will, and our live shows, obviously. But the site has grown tremendously since I started it, and it's cool to see. It's the reason why I was at E3 and I'm covering it as media and stuff. It's awesome. So I just love that there's support for. True love for the gaming industry without all the nonsense like we talk about all the time. So that's what it's all about, and that will never change. I can promise you that. So cool. We'll have you back on after Watch Dogs releases because you're the first person I've had that seems as excited as I am about it. So
so
we'll have that. We'll have that for sure. Dan, what's going on, man? What do you want to call out before we get out of here?
Not shit. Just see you on Twitter.
See you on Twitter. Uh-oh. Well, you went from leaving Twitter to see you on Twitter. How did we make that turn?
Well, let me tell you something. It's a tenuous relationship. So we'll see what happens. Like if I get too much positivity, I'm gonna puke all over myself, and then go back to my shadow accounts. So
all right. So everybody who's still watching and still with us here as we close out. Yeah. Please tag Dan and let's tag do rainbows. Dan with lots of positivity. Lots of hugging. Oxen-free gifts are especially useful.
That's a good way for me to smash my phone.
Isn't that Dan's favorite game, if I'm not mistaken?
Gosh.
Game of the generation. I don't know if it's his favorite all time, but game of the generation.
No, for sure the generation. Yep. God damn it.
I should have said that and just muted you so you couldn't respond. All right. We're just hanging on now. We're just kind of talking and hanging out. So chat, you've been awesome as always. Thank you guys. Like I said, Gator, been great having you, man. This is Bitcast 119, right? Yep. It's been a really fun show. Thanks as always, and we will see you next Saturday.